the guts to say, but if I see it, I'll say it. And to me, I've been around the game all my life, and you can't fool me. I've seen it. And to me, that's what that team looked like a team that could care less about their coaches, and that's how they played.
Rex Ryan, the truth teller. So I have one more for you. Our colleague, Lorenzo Neal, I did 4 years of radio with him. He's still a part of the family. What do you remember about Lone Neal during your time together in Baltimore? Now, nothing but the truth here, Rex. Give it to us straight.
No, I love the guy. I mean, he was an absolute beast, a great player. And, you know, hey, did I let him skip curfew a couple of times? Absolutely. So, but he was, I don't know if that's what you refer to. I love the guy. I mean, to me, he's one of the all-time great fullbacks in the history of our game. And, you know, I don't know if they'll ever put a fullback in the Hall of Fame, you know, a traditional blocking fullback, but man, there was very few better than this guy, if any.
Perfect. Exactly what I was looking for.
Yep, you nailed it. Rex, thank you so much. It's a ton of fun to have you on.
All right, my pleasure, guys. All
right, there he goes. Rex Ryan.
Truth teller.
And now, producers, if you're not on the phone with Lone Neal within the next 20 minutes, I don't even know why you're here. I don't know why you're here. Get Low on. I want to hear what he did with these curfews that Rex just let him run around and go crazy.
Well, at the time, I think Lowe was nearing the tail end of his career, and he was handling business on the field. So, yeah, go ahead and skip a curfew, big fella. Just as long as you show up with that moneymaker and you lead the way for our run game, you'll be just fine.
Well, Rex clearly thought you were leading him more than you were. That was a very open-ended question.
Yes.
You could tell when we started laughing when he's like, I don't know if that's what you're referring to. It was like, we weren't referring to anything, but we are now.
Well, and he totally led me to it by saying that I'm a guy who tells the truth. Yep. Okay, Rex, then let's have the truth on Low Neal, because Low would tell you that, you know, little curfew skip, and that was Lowe's final year of his career. 2008, he was a 38-year-old fullback. And by the way, he played in all 16 games.
Let me go ahead and say it.
38.
Let me say it for him since he's not here. Go to hell, Dibs.
That's a 4.
Okay?
That's a solid 4.
Yeah, that's what he would say if he were here
and
right
I can
now.
see where, you know, Lowe's like, hey, Rex, I'm going to be hanging a little bit late tonight, you know. I'm 38. I'm in my 16th year in the league. You go ahead and give the veteran different rules, you know?
That is the first time I've heard someone assess what happened to the Eagles that way.
Well, you assessed it that way in real time.
Well, but I didn't say it that way. They look like they hate their coaches. What I told you was something's rotten on the inside. Yep. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on, but what you're seeing, to me, feels like a Hollywood set, right? Like, go ahead and go behind the house. Oh, it turns out there are no bedrooms. It's just a picture of a house. Like, that's what it felt like even when they were 10-1. It's not that they were bad. They've got talent all over the place, obviously. But something just wasn't adding up. And all it took was for, I think, the opposite to come to town, because the Niners, especially at that time, they were humming. They were humming. They were well-oiled. They were super motivated. They wanted to show the world what they really think would have happened if they could play the Eagles at full strength. And so you got Deebo Samuel to absolutely just turn the volume all the way up. And it exposed them. And Big Dom wasn't allowed anymore. And that was it. They were just done. They folded.
Yeah.
Absolutely folded. So
Niners got them in a good spot, too. I'm looking at the schedule now, and off the bye, Philadelphia was at Kansas City, a win. They beat Buffalo in overtime somehow.
Totally.
And then the Niners preceded the Cowboys, so that was a little bit of a gauntlet.
Oh, and I think they played either the Cowboys or the Dolphins right before the bye.
Yeah, exactly.
It was nothing but a
Cowboys
run.
Bye, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys.
Oh, I mean, just like the best teams in the NFL, and they had to play them all in a row, like 5-6 weeks in a row.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they went to Seattle and lost, and things went downhill from there, but Rex's analysis is spot on what we learned at the end of the year when they went out and got crushed by Tampa Bay.
I thought the easiest bet in the NFL of the entire year was the Cowboys minus whatever against the Eagles the week after the Niners pulled them apart. I was like, oh my God, Dallas, and it was in Dallas.
3.5.
And it was 3. Yeah, I remember being about a field goal. I'm like, Dallas is going to blow them off the field. What was the final score?
33-13.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
And it wasn't that close.
No, and they never recovered. We'll see if they did in 2.5 hours.
Exciting, yeah, that's a good one.
Like this is which Eagles are you? You second half Eagles or you first half Eagles?
Well, it feels like there still is some broken things about the coach-quarterback relationship, and it just doesn't feel like everything is buttoned up with this Eagle team.
I agree with you. Yeah, we're presented by Fremont Bank, celebrating 60 years of full-service banking with no compromises. All right, got a clean, wide-open hour for all of you. We're reacting to last night. We're heading toward tonight. We're heading toward Sunday. We're heading toward Monday, for goodness sakes. Okay, 888-957-9570. You watched the two QBs who have 4 of the last 5 MVP awards play against one another last night. Did you feel any quarterback envy or no? Niner fans, 888-957-9570, Willard and Dibs.
Now, back to
Dillard and Wibbs
on 95.7 The Game.
All right.
Yeah.
That was fortunate and unfortunate all at the same time.
Please explain.
Well, Rex Ryan was phenomenal.
Awesome.
Please explain.
And the high majority of our audience had absolutely no issue with that whatsoever.
Nah, not a bit.
But there's a wee little bit of you who just got knocked around and knocked off, and that would be our YouTube audience.
Oh, Schmidt.
And we're back up and running. So
Solid.
If you're a YouTuber, get back to YouTube because we knocked you off, and now we're welcoming you back.
Yeah, a little bit of a crash situation. Not Crash Davis from Bull Durham, but the YouTube page crashed.
Great movie.
Mount Crashmore. Yeah, the best baseball movie, I would argue, of
Bull
all
Durham?
time. Yep.
I used to think it was Field of Dreams. Do you ever go back every now and again and watch the really old ones just to see if they hold up?
The Natural is a great example of that, where
you don't.
I mean, I like it, but that thing is. I mean, that thing's longer than War and Peace now.
You know what's so funny is, and a lot of us went through this, whatever it was last year or the year before, whenever that Top Gun Maverick thing came out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I know who are like maybe our age, who grew up with the first Top Gun, and then here comes the new Top Gun, and you want to take your kids to you gotta watch the old Top Gun before you watch the new Top Gun, so you got an idea what the hell's going on. And you go back and watch the old Top Gun, which when I was in high school, absolute favorite movie. Absolute favorite movie. Probably watched it 40 times. My daughter, just like 2 weeks ago, hey, can we rent a movie tonight? I want to watch the old Top Gun. I've never seen it before.
Okay.
And I watched it, and for the first time, a completely different emotion went flowing through me. I'm like, damn, this thing moves fast. Like, it just rolls over the story. It didn't all of these storylines, like these two people fell in love in 4 seconds. It was like The Bachelor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was one song of a montage.
Yeah.
Berlin's Take My Breath Away.
She tried. They sing to her. She knocks him down. Then she shows up at work. Turns out she's a government agent. Okay, they looked at each other, winked, went over to the house. They're in love. I'm like, could you slow down? What? Go on a date.
All we needed was Mike Breen providing the play-by-play. Bang! Bang!
Oh, what a shot from Maverick!
Thank you.
Yeah,
sorry, I had to get to it.
It just moved way too fast for me. I'm like, this isn't hitting me the same way that it used to.
It's good, but Anyway, Bull Durham. For me, it has surpassed after a long run. Bad News Bears, the original, which was the first movie I ever saw in the theater. Shout out Northgate, 1977.
Where does Major League fit into this for you?
Probably down the list a little bit, 4 or 5.
Okay, because remember, that was before Bruce Bochy was Bruce Bochy.
Sure.
Remember now, their manager.
Yeah.
Right? Nice catch, Hayes. Don't ever do it again.
And it's really
it's
funny.
The same
it's good.
guy. It's the same guy. It's Boch.
It's good. It's memorable. And Charlie Sheen, Wild Thing, and all the rest of it. But not to derail.
That was before he had Tiger Blood, though, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was back. Then it got weird. That's okay. Anyway, hi, everybody. 888-957-957 is the number. I'd like to remind all of you, or urge all of you, to not miss the kickoff show on Monday with us. Okay? Live from the Hilton Santa Clara, delicious food, great drinks, best pregame show in the Bay Area, and it is presented by Habas Law. You've been wronged. Habas Law will fight to make it right. Call 1-800-INJURED or visit habaslaw.com. I've been telling everybody I know, if you are going to the game Monday, here's the deal. Leave now. Leave now. No, I'm not kidding. Now. Go down there now.
You're already late?
Call somebody who lives in the area and see if you can stay at their house for 3 days. Get a hotel at the Hilton. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Leave now, because this is going to be a pilgrimage. But we going, and we do hope you're there, and we hope to see you there. And I am very excited. Our next show is going to be at the Hilton in front of a 49er Jet game.
Yes, and last night only served to get me more excited because those are two teams who are probably going to be playoff teams. If you were going to bet yes or no on either of those teams, you'd bet yes on both. Sure. Even though the Ravens are now 0-1 in last in the NFL, they look pretty good. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs. And so you look at high-quality football and you think about Monday, and the Jets could be a playoff team. I don't know about should be, but they're probably a slightly better than 50% chance, I would say. And the Niners are probably an 80% chance of being a playoff team. So it's going to be a good one on Monday.
No doubt. And hearing Rex talk about the talent that's on the field, and I think we do. We don't think much beyond Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson. The defense of the Jets is loaded. Absolutely loaded. So let me make a prediction for you right now. Okay? Tuesday morning, win or lose, there will be Brock Purdy pessimism. Tuesday morning.
I don't know if it's that automatic.
Win or lose. No, it's not automatic. It's a prediction. It's okay. What I think there are going to be people who come out and go, see, you can pay that guy $60 million, which is going to be a part of every game that doesn't look perfect this year. I get it. But I am already giving credit to both of these quarterbacks for who they're going up against on Monday night. And I'm also going to say this, because I know a lot of people think that that's, in a way, what we saw last night. In fact, I saw someone comment on the Xfinity Mobile text line earlier and go, those were two of the top-ranked defenses in the NFL. They're good. There's no doubt that they're good. I wouldn't argue that. Both of those defenses last night are significantly, in my opinion, less talented than the two defenses you're going to see on Monday night.
Yeah,
my opinion.
Time will tell.
My opinion.
You're probably right, but a lot of that is also measured by who you go up against, and those are two of the tougher quarterbacks to play against in the National Football League. So defenses, I think, are going to struggle. When you face Patrick Mahomes, however good your defense is, it's going to look worse than normal when you face Mahomes, and the Niners are a great example of that. The Super Bowl, they were better, but in the regular season, they've really struggled against Kansas City, and they've been worse than their norm against Kansas City. So when you play good offenses, a good defense is going to look a little bit more mortal.
No doubt. And I actually thought that was the case last night. What did we say the over-under was? 46.5? Wasn't that it?
I thought it was a little lower than that. But
Grandy, wasn't it 46.5? I mean, isn't it incredible? And there's your number for it.
Right on it, 47.
I think so. I can double check for you.
Just crazy. But I largely thought that the two quarterbacks, even though they were at times running for their lives, even though it wasn't an overly high-scoring game, I thought both of them looked composed. I thought both of them, for the most part, hit open receivers. I know Lamar didn't on that last drive, but they both looked pretty good. Nobody blew me away, but yeah, those are really good teams. So that's kind of what you would expect, I guess. But whenever you get those guys out there, look, they're both phenomenal. They both got 2 MVP awards. And I think it's fair for us as 49er fans to do a little comparing and contrasting right now. And when you watch those two teams, do you feel a little quarterback envy? Because let's be honest, we don't know exactly where the Brock Purdy experience is going. And what we're all hoping, if you're a Niner fan, is that that's where it's going. It's going, last year, what did he finish in the MVP? 5th?
Yeah.
5th.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. That's your one full season. You were 5th in the MVP. Could he ever win one? Could he win one?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. It's going to be hard, though, because I don't think that he's going to have the eye-popping numbers. So for him to win one, they would have to have the best record in football, and it would have to be a significantly best record in football kind of a year. Last year, Baltimore had the best record in the regular season. Lamar had eye-popping numbers. You win the MVP.
But don't you think that was almost dependent on one game?
Largely, yeah.
Right. You go to Christmas, and as it turned out, that was an MVP elimination game. If Lamar throws a couple, 3, 4 picks, the Niners win that game. They end up 13-4 instead of 12-5. Baltimore ends up 12-5 instead of 13-4. Brock might have won that darn award. He might have won that thing.
Yeah.
Well, and isn't that what we're all, and again, it's not about the MVP. It's more about, does Brock go from very good player, very good decision maker, can win with him, all of those things we say now, can he go from that to someone who you would refer to as the difference? Because that's what I feel about those two guys last night. They have proven that for their franchises, they're the difference.
Yeah.
They elevate. They elevate everyone, everything. The whole franchise feels like it's on their shoulders.
Absolutely. And I think that he could do it, and it would be a little bit more similar to how Mahomes played last night. Forget the magic and the majesty of Mahomes and everything he's accomplished. But last night, to me, is the kind of game that you can look to Brock Purdy to have. He wound up 20 for 28, 291, which is big. One, a couple of really big throws, quarterback rating of 102, one interception, no fumbles. Mahomes was more than just solid. He was great. He was not eye-popping with the numbers. 20 of 28, very efficient. He made the one mistake toward the end of the half, and that was it. And he went out there and he won the game. Now, can he be like Lamar? I don't think so, where he throws for 273 on 41 attempts, and he rushes it 16 times for 122.
Well, not stylistically, no, right. but you know what I mean. Like these guys.
I'm talking about Mahomes, like last night, Mahomes probably had his B game, his B+ game.
I'm looking at the numbers right now.
Mahomes was great.
Yeah, both of them had nice ratings. Mahomes was 101.9. Lamar was 90.8. Mahomes, 20 of 28, 291, touchdown and a pick. Lamar, 26 of 41, 273. The percentage for Mahomes is really good, but your final passing stats, good. Lamar obviously had the fumble, kind of one of his offensive linemen's fault, but and he ran for 122 yards.
Yeah.
They're absurd.
But I think Mahomes last night, Mahomes was just super efficient. He didn't make too many oh my God throws. He made a couple plays, which you watch it and you go, okay, this is why he's the best in football. Eludes the rush, step up, wiggle right, boop, makes the perfect throw, moves the chains. You're mentioning about Brock Purdy last year, and I looked at the MVP odds by week.
Okay.
And I'm looking at December 12th. Last year, Brock Purdy was plus 175, Dak Prescott plus 153. They were basically tied for co-favorites for the MVP. The next week, the 19th, Brock Purdy becomes the favorite to win the MVP. He's minus 200. And then their second choice was Lamar Jackson. Skip ahead to December 27th, Brock Purdy jumps up to 13-1. And Lamar plummets all the way down to minus 190. So it really was the one game. It was
an elimination
the elimination game. If Brock Purdy plays well and wins that game, he is the MVP.
He probably would be.
Can he win an MVP? You're damn right he can. He was the MVP last year through 15 weeks of an 18-week season.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt that, but I think you also know what I'm getting at, which is like there's
a little of the draftism in there.
Well, but I don't think it's draftism as much as we're just not there yet. He's only played 20-some-odd football games. He's played a season and a half. There's no doubt left in my mind as to whether or not the guy's good. No doubt left as to whether or not he's really good. That there hasn't been even enough time for him to be what we're watching last night. And that is someone where an entire NFL franchise goes, excuse me, come over here. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hand this to you. This is a backpack. The entire franchise is in it. Wear it at all times, period. Can you do that? And you don't have to
ask him to.
Yeah, you don't have to do that to get $55 or $60 million, but they want you to. Jared Goff got 52. They don't do that to him. Tua got 52, 53. They don't do that with him. The Jags want to do that with Trevor Lawrence. The Packers want to do that with Jordan Love. The Bengals do that, I think, with Joe Burrow. But that's what you're hoping. You're hoping someday he does become that guy. What I mean by that is if he's on your team, you're good. Period. You might be great because you got great stuff around you. You might struggle a little bit if it's an off year and there are injuries, but your presence alone means you're a contender. I think both of those guys last night are that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And who else is like that?
In the NFL?
I mean, you could say Josh Allen. We're going to find out this year because this year they don't have the weapons that they've had in the past.
Right, but
Joe Burrow's got two of the better receivers. Well, in theory, Higgins is dealing with a hamstring, and Chase may not be ready for week one.
He'll be there. Yeah.
Burrow's in a little bit of a weird spot that way. But outside of those guys, who else is a backpack player at that position? You'd be hard-pressed to find many more of those guys. You already said Tua's not, and that's fair.
Well, but some of it is just timing. I think that the Texans are hoping that C.J. Stroud is that. You're here.
Yeah, but they have an unbelievable team around him now.
Absolutely, but no. Again, these take time. Brock has done nothing to dissuade the idea that he is that, but we just haven't had enough time to see it. You haven't seen them go through generations of different players around them. We've seen that with Lamar and Patrick. They've been around a lot longer.
Yep.
Lamar hasn't even broken through for a Super Bowl, but come on.
He's got one playoff win in a season. That's
I know.
That's his high.
I know.
He's got 2 overall. 2 times in the playoffs, he's won 1 game.
Yep. It's been disappointing in January, but he's also got 2 MVP awards, and he's Lamar freaking Jackson.
I was looking at his splits because we were talking about Lamar, fading late. He's 17-3 in December as a starter.
Jeez.
And then you get to the playoffs, and it's a different story.
What's the overall record in January or the playoffs?
For Lamar?
Yeah.
He's 2-4, I think. 2-4.
Yeah.
In the post. Yep, 2-4.
2-4.
2-4.
Let's go to Jake in Oakland. Hi, Jake. What's up?
It's Jason. What's going on, guys?
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. What's going on, Willard and Dibs? I got to say you guys' names. I called y'all about 2-3 years ago about the Warriors. We talked, and I remember you said they was only going to win 40-something games, and they ended up winning a championship.
Yeah, that was on me,
But
Jake.
anyway.
That was my fault, and I've been struggling to.
Yeah.
I've actually gone to therapy over that. Your phone call, it shook me. You rattled me, Jake, and I just hearing your voice again now. I got a little bit of that PTSD.
Okay, but this is what I wanted to hit you guys with.
Oof.
Purdy is the truth. Jimmy G is damn near out the league because Brock Purdy. And I know he did something to his Achilles, but when we seen a guy that was picked last take the Niners to a championship, maybe would have won that championship and beat Cincinnati in the Super Bowl if he wouldn't have got hurt. Next year, go back to the Super Bowl. If McCaffrey don't fumble the ball and they don't miss the extra point, he maybe would have won the Super Bowl. And we still talking about other quarterbacks being better than Purdy. Like, what Purdy got to do? Be 6'6", 245 pounds, can throw the ball 70 yards, and then our guys around the Bay Area say, oh, he's the greatest. He's the next Montana because he's kind of a short guy. He looks real young. He was picked last. Every year we're going to pick him apart and say all these other quarterbacks is greater than him and better than him. Purdy ain't did nothing but come in the league, got another quarterback, thrown to another team, took his team to a championship, Super Bowl. When are we going to say Purdy he's a generational player? Because we ain't seen too many quarterbacks get picked last and do what he's doing.
Jake,
come on, guys. We got to give him more credit. The guy earlier was talking about having the dude for Baltimore as our quarterback. He ready to throw Purdy away, saying, "Oh, if Shanahan had him, come on, man." I forgot his name. He can't even pass. His passes is always off. If he ain't had no legs, he'd probably be a second string quarterback. The Baltimore, I forgot his name because I don't care less about him.
You're talking about Lamar Jackson.
Man, Purdy is
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, you guys know that he can't pass accurate. His passes is always off. When he throw the ball, it's like he aiming it. Purdy can let that ball go and throw you to a spot. Jimmy G couldn't do that. But Joe Montana could. John Elway could. Throw the ball to a spot when the guy gets to the ball. Purdy is a baller, man, and he's a game changer. So let's not talk about, because if Purdy didn't ball in the Detroit game, we would have lost that game. If we had Jimmy G, the Niners would have won that game against Detroit. Let's be real.
Of course not. Jake, you're not going to get a huge argument, I don't think, from either one of us. Thank you very much for the call. That was passionate and fantastic. Here's how I'd answer it, though. I do think you're undercutting Lamar Jackson a little bit. He can throw the football. He's not Patrick Mahomes with it, but you're right. Like, he can run for 122 yards in a game. That's a special thing that Lamar can offer. My answer about Purdy, when you say what's he got to do, nothing. He just has to keep doing what he's doing. He just has to do it for longer. That's all. There's no criticism. There's no doubt. But he just needs to do it for longer. That's all. You like to be one of the greats, you have to sustain. And so there's no criticism because he has done everything he could possibly do to this point. But I'm not going to say this quarterback equals all of the other greats in the league when you've only played 23 games or wherever we are with Brock Purdy. He just needs more time. That's all.
Right, and he needs to, do what he did last year again, and then fewer people will have the ability to step up and use draftism or use whatever metric they want to say that he's not very good. You start stacking good year after good year, and it becomes harder to criticize people, and that's where the frustration for Lamar Jackson fans or acolytes comes from, because he's so great in the regular season, and in the playoffs, he struggled to win games. 2-4 is not reflective of how good he's been in the regular season.
Yeah, no, they like both of these teams in a way. I think last year they really missed the boat. Like, if you want to put another rat on the table, here it is. The Niners and Ravens were both better than the Chiefs last year. That's my opinion. Call it whatever you want. Top to bottom. Offense, defense, everything that goes into a football game, the Niners and the Ravens were both better than the Chiefs. And they both missed their shot.
Yeah, they both had their shot. And
they missed their shot.
They're supposed to shoot your shot because it's all you got.
Dibs.
And that's always a funny one to me. Like, when somebody says this team was better than the other team, and I'm not just picking on you, but you had a chance to be better than that team.
Yeah,
they both had a chance to be better than that team, and neither one was better than that team. So it's always a funny one to me where you look back and say, we were the best team in football last year. Well, then you should have won the Super Bowl.
Well, but sports is like it's a bunch of human beings running around out there. Like the best team doesn't always win the game. Some people equate it to that. It's like whoever wins, that's the best. I'm like, it's a little bit of black and white thinking for me.
Right.
You know
best
what I mean?
Is just such a nebulous thing anyway.
Well, there's circumstances that come up all the time, and they can be as simple as like some of your people aren't available. Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson. I think you're the best team. Two of them you aren't available, you lose. Other times it's much more circumstantial in terms of mistakes that are made that are mental ones as opposed to physical ones. Do you make that a part of the equation? You can if you want. Just put it this way. I expected the Ravens to beat the Chiefs. They had them at home. I think that from top to bottom, they were a better football team. They gagged. They fumbled at the one. They lost. I think the same thing about the 49ers. The best non-quarterback in the league cruised down on a hot knife through butter opening drive and put the ball on the ground, and his superstar tight end was talking to the other player on the field as opposed to picking up the ball. I mean, we can talk about all this stuff.
Sure.
I think both of them were better a year ago. I don't know if they are now.
Yeah.
We've only had one look at it. Chiefs looked like the better team last night to me.
Better than the Ravens. Yeah, we don't know if they're better than the Niners. They'll actually get a chance to play each other on the field. So just the whole idea of who's better than whom, it's a great barroom conversation. And same thing with quarterback rankings. Ultimately, Brock Purdy is as good as his coach, his scheme, the players around him, and his ability to make plays. And he could be the best quarterback in football and have a terrible offensive line and a bad coach, and it wouldn't matter. And that's where the Dan Marino argument always comes, where how do you rank Dan Marino all time as a quarterback? He went to one Super Bowl and lost it. Do we put him below Ben Roethlisberger and Eli Manning just because those guys were able to win bowls?
I don't.
Right.
Do you?
Some do. Well, some just simply look at team success, and that's how we measure individual players.
Right. 49ers do not play until Monday night, but we got you covered on Sunday to kick off the 2024 NFL season. The Patriots take on the Bengals at 10. Raiders visit the Chargers at 1. You can listen to both of these games right here on the home for NFL football, 95.7 The Game. 888-957-9570 is the number. Feeling any quarterback envy last night in watching that football game? Plus, coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to have some fun with Joe Benigno. Oh, okay, 4:30. Let's move it to 4:30. An hour from now, Joe Benigno, who is now the host of the Oh the Pain podcast, also on WFAN in the past. He's a monster Jets fan. He's got the accent, all the stuff. We'll scream and yell 49er Jets. We'll have a good time. That's coming up in an hour on Willard and Dibs.
Now, back to
Dillard and Wibbs
on 95.7 The Game.
This is so funny. This is off the beaten track, but let's do this for a second because it relates to Brandon Ayuk.
Okay.
I get it. There's no way around it, but I wish it weren't true. I wish that you could remove just a tiny bit of the ego from these conversations. It really does kind of get exhausting for fans, but hey, millions of dollars are being negotiated. Far be it from me. I'm not putting my hands in anyone else's pockets. I don't care what anybody gets. Get what you get. Get whatever you can get.
Get all you can. Be all you can be.
Jamar Chase says he'll be a game time decision Sunday.
Of course. Of course he will be.
Spoiler alert, he playing. Okay?
He hasn't practiced though, right?
He has some.
Okay.
He has some. I know he did 2 days ago because that video got caught. Did you see this thing where the Bengals have to walk across a busy street to get to their practice facility?
What?
Did you see it?
No.
You did not see it?
I'll ask me again.
Did you see it?
I missed it, Mark.
The Bengals have now barred the media from filming the players walk to the practice facility because it got so much attention. They come from wherever they get dressed to head to the field. They have to cross like something that would be worse than Tasman. I mean, they got to cross like this really busy street, and they got security guards out there like stopping cars so Jamar Chase can walk across the busy. It's like, what are you all doing? Who built this thing? Get a tunnel, get a bridge, do something. But anyway, he practiced off and on. The reason I bring it up, though, is they asked him, are you playing? Because he did not, right? He held out. He does not have a new deal. And remember, it's not quite like Ayuk or Jefferson because he's a year later than them. He's only 3 years in.
Yeah.
Normally you do this before your fifth-year option. He's just going into year 4. But Jamar is listed as questionable and said, quote, it's my decision as to whether or not I'm going to play.
It is. It is his decision.
Of course it is, but it's like this whole thing. Like, I'll play, but I want all of you to know that was my call, not the Bengals. This whole thing about who is pushing who around and who's got the power and the juice and the this and that and the other. I don't know, man. It doesn't land with fans. I don't know if anybody cares about that. It doesn't land.
Of course not.
Yeah, I don't care.
I could pull a Jamar Chase and say, I'm a game time decision for Monday's show. I'm not sure if I'm going to show up to the Hilton or not. And my boss can sit back and say, okay, yeah, you're right. I can't make you show up. However, if you choose to grandstand and last minute me and then not show up, then they have the ability to do what they need to do, as the Bengals probably do to a certain extent, collective bargaining and contracts and all the rest of it.
And he's a great, legitimate, not that you're not a great host, but like...
I'm the Jamar Chase of the station, no doubt. I'm a playmaker.
This is a player they cannot live without. And by the way, T. Higgins has been listed as doubtful.
With the hamstring.
I'd like to remind everybody who picked your big, fancy 8.5-point favorite Bengals in your survivor pool, it is quite possible they're playing without T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on Sunday.
And that was your pick?
No, actually, it's not. It's not.
Okay, I thought you were alluding to the fact that was your big survivor pool.
They're the biggest favorite of the weekend.
Gotcha.
They are going to be the most picked team in survivor pools, and they will probably be fine, and I'm almost sure Jamar will play, but not great, Bob.
Nope.
Not great. Opening weekend, and your entire starting receiving core may be sitting there, and if they're not, you're still playing at full speed?
Not really.
Probably not.
And I wonder how full speed Brandon Ayuk will be. And similarly, or even more dramatically, Trent Williams. Because when you think about Trent Williams, who didn't have any training camp, and you went through a couple of light practices, he hasn't had a chance to go out there and play full adrenaline football in a long time. And he's an older guy, and he's a bigger guy. I'm sure he's in shape, but you get into that first long drive, 9-play, 10-play, or you get in the second half and you've got an 11-play, a 12-play drive, Trent's going to be huffing and puffing, without a doubt, because you're not used to this. And I wonder if fatigue doesn't set in for old number 71 on the left side.
Well, I mean, yes, it will. I don't know. You've been to a football game. It looks very tiring, to be honest with you.
Especially when you haven't gone through a full camp and a couple of preseasons and all the rest of it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, 888-957-9570 is the number. And, you watched that one last night, and there's no way around this. And that is like until something sort of either goes through the process of more and more time, or if something starts to pop at a different level visually, I think that this conversation about Brock Purdy is going to continue. And for me, it's not about is he going to get 55 or 56 or is he worth it or any of those things. He's a phenomenal football player. But here's maybe something to think about. You watched those two guys last night, and both of them had what you would probably refer to as like a B-level game, right?
Lamar was probably a B+.
B+? I
mean, even an A- because Lamar did what he does best, and he did that very well. If it wasn't for the last couple of throws, second to last throw, if he connects on that, his game is an A. They win or lose, he did his job to get him down the field and get him in a spot to win it.
That's interesting because a lot of people hang the W or the L around the quarterback. I mean, he didn't do enough.
He didn't do enough.
Yeah, he turned the ball over in the red zone.
Yep.
He missed wide open receiver there in the end zone at the end. I thought he played really well, but those things for me would prevent calling it an A-level performance.
Sure. He performed about, commensurate with how he normally does. 26 of 41. Last year when he won the MVP, he completed 63% of his passes, which is one of the worst. It's second to worst in his career. And so, what he did to win the MVP is what he did last night, which is pull it down and make plays.
Sure. But here's what I'm getting at. Mahomes, and what, you give him a B?
Yes, B. He was fine.
20 of 28 for 291 yards. When these guys have their B performance, they throw for over 275.
Yeah.
When Brock does that, you're like, whoa. In other words, Mahomes feels like he can get to 300 yards by accident. Brock Purdy, it has to really, something has to work really well. And I know exactly why. This is not a criticism. The Niners don't throw the ball as much. They don't throw the ball in the same way. They don't huck it downfield. They don't have the same deep threats that a lot of these other teams do. Again, I'm just talking about the way people view Brock Purdy. If you want him to actually, in the minds of many, get on that list, those top 6 or 7 guys that are not a difference maker, but the difference maker, these are some of the things that are going to need to happen. He's going to need to have 300-yard games. He's going to need to play well when others are out. He's going to need to have games where he looks like the straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah, and I
don't know if that'll ever happen just because of their style.
Agreed. And I'm just looking at his game log, and I was going to ask you how many times you think he went over 275 yards in his career. And he started 23 regular season and 6 playoffs, so 29 games.
29 games.
How many times do you think Brocky Poo, as you call him, well, I call him for you.
I called him Brockadoodle-doo, actually, not
fair.
Brocky Poo.
How many times did he get over 275 yards in one singular game?
You said 6 playoff and 23 regular seasons, so 29 games?
Yes.
Now, that counts Philadelphia, though, where he only had 6 plays.
Yes,
right?
It does.
Yeah,
it does. I was just glancing at starts.
All right, so I'm going to go 28 football games.
Okay.
How many times you go over 275? I would bet in those 28 football games, it's probably 9.
Wow. 9. Can you give him another one for that? Because he was bang! Second Breen. Bang on the number.
Not 7.
8 in the regular season and 1 in the playoffs, and it was his first playoff game against Seattle. He threw for 332.
You know what's so funny? The first thought that comes to mind, this guy erased a 24-7 deficit in the NFC Championship game, and you're telling me he still didn't throw for 275 yards.
267.
Isn't that crazy?
20 of 31, 267.
That's what I mean. So Patrick Mahomes throws for 291, and you go to bed going, that's kind of like not a great game.
It was good.
Didn't
fine.
really, you were ahead the whole time. You were ahead by 7 to 10 points pretty much the entire night, and he throws for 291. Brock, on the other hand, is handed a 17-point deficit at halftime. It feels like an absolute fire drill the whole time, hucking the ball all over the place. Balls are bouncing off of helmets and landing in your receiver's hands. People are going into the end zone left and right. You come back, you score 34, 266 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. Good game.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game.
Yeah. And the week before, 252 against Green Bay and then 255 in the Super Bowl. So
there you go.
Your point is well taken, not only about this, but about the MVP as well, because the way they go about running their offense, you don't look to him to be the backpack quarterback. You're not looking for him to go 30 for 38 for 335. You're really looking for these kinds of games. And if you look at all his game log, you see a 22 for 28, 20 for 21 against Arizona, and that was last year. 19 of 26, 19 of 27. Just complete 2 of every 3. Don't give it to the other team and keep this thing moving.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
That's the gig.
Grandy, you look like you wanted to say something. You're going to say something. I saw that.
I was just going to say, when you're talking about Mahomes and how yards-wise had a pretty good game, put it this way. If he was your fantasy quarterback yesterday, you were upset.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. One touchdown and didn't throw for 300 yards.
No, I think I had him in an ESPN league. I think he got like 15 and a half points.
And that's bad for Mahomes.
That's not great. It's not like disastrous, but yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 touchdown throw. What are you doing, Patrick?
He's winning football games.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing. And I looked at the number and I was just blown away by they put the stat on the TV last night and I wanted to remember it, but I didn't. So I looked it up. 75 and 22 in the regular season.
That's just absurd.
That's
just absurd.
No, it's like 78% winning percentage. That is absurd to win that often that many times. And just, last night, 20 of 28. Ho-hum.
That's regular season, Dibs?
Yeah.
And it's not like it goes down that much in the postseason either.
No, wouldn't think so.
15 and 3. 15 and 3 in the post.
They lost 3 times in the postseason?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the other 2. Like, I remember the Super Bowl against Tuam.
2018, he went 1-1. 2020 and 2021, he went 2-1.
Lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship.
Oh, right.
Game.
Bengals AFC. What was the
overtime,
other one?
I think. 2021 or 2020?
Whenever they lost.
I want to say
who was it?
Both of those were overtime, I thought. Let me look.
It was AFC
2021, they lost to the Bengals.
Yeah. So in 2020, who'd they lose to?
They lost to, not the Bills, I'm sure, because that doesn't happen.
Who the hell else beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs?
Tampa in the Super Bowl.
No. We mentioned Tampa and Cincy. What's the third one?
Oh, that had to be his first year, 2017. They lost to Tennessee, 22-21, Tannehill.
I do not remember that game at all.
Ryan Tannehill. That was the year that Tennessee went to the AFC Championship.
And then who'd they lose to?
Man, you're really putting me
probably Tom Brady and the Patriots. Probably.
Yeah, odds are.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Mahomes was the quarterback that year?
Eagles beat the Patriots. That was his rookie year.
He wasn't the starter. That was rookie year.
That was Alex Smith. He sat for a year and watched Alex Smith.
Oh, well, there you go.
His first year as a starter was when they beat the Niners in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah, he's only lost twice. And one was in overtime, huge blown lead against Joe Burrow, and the other one was against the greatest of all time.
Oh, no, they lost to Tom Brady and the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, his first year.
Mahomes did?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
16-31.
All right, there it is. No, but
3 touchdowns.
The Tennessee game, I actually do remember now that you just said that, Grandy. Yes, that was Alex Smith. Patrick was on the team, but he just watched. He watched. And I'll never forget it. I've told you this story before. Good buddy, Chiefs fan, years ago, it was the night before they played Tennessee in the playoffs. And he was at a party, and he had 8 too many. And he pulled he pulled me aside, and I was kind of like being my former 49er fan self. I'm like, why don't you guys support Alex Smith more? And he is walking through this party just screaming, Mahomes! Mahomes! That's he's just screaming his name. And I'm like, put some respect on Alex Smith's name. Like, this offense this year was amazing. Do you remember that year for the Chiefs? Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, they were absolutely incredible. And Smith had a great year, and they were the division champ and all of those things. But Mahomes was sitting there. They had drafted him, and he was in waiting. And he was so drunk and yelling Mahomes so many times. And I'm like, come on, man, be nice to Alex Smith. And he's like, you watch tomorrow. This isn't going to go well.
Wow.
And he was right. He was drunk, but he was right.
And then the year after was the AFC Championship game. Mahomes' first year as a starter.
To Tennessee.
No, they lost
That's to New England.
Lost in overtime to New England when D4 jumped off sides.
There you go.
Tom Brady gets the ball to begin overtime, and they go down and score, and the Chiefs don't even get a chance.
So he's lost to Brady twice and Burrow with an unbelievable comeback in overtime. That's it.
Three playoff losses, 15-3. So there you go.
Dude is stupid.
90-25 overall. 90-25. So,
and we're like, can I take just this is tongue in cheek, but can I take a quick shot based off of that?
On the Shanahan haters?
Andy Reid is a genius. He has Patrick. That's it. That is what separates Andy Reid from the other top coaches in the game. That's it. What has
Mahomes done without Andy? Yeah, you don't want to answer that.
I don't know what's his Pro Bowl record.
Exactly.
That's a great question.
Yeah, he doesn't go to the Pro Bowl because he's always in the Super Bowl.
That's a good point.
I wonder if he even knows where the Pro Bowl is.
That's a really good question, Dibs.
Thank you.
Andy Reid is by far and away the best coach in the game. It's pretty much all Andy. He's amazeballs.
He was making conference championships when Patrick Mahomes was in grammar school.
He's a fantastic coach.
Mahomes is a system QB.
But he can't get over the top without Patrick, can he?
Yeah.
That's what Rex Ryan said about Bill Belichick this last hour, too.
Exactly.
You put Patrick in Carolina, and we'll see if he's 90-25.
No, he'd probably be about 85-30. It's probably what he would be.
Yeah, I don't know.
85-30. I mean, you know what? No, this actually is very relevant to the 49ers. Product of the system. Like
Greg Cosell debunked that this week.
I do think that highly of Kyle Shanahan. For God's sakes, Jimmy Garoppolo went to a Super Bowl. But at the same time, like, it wasn't good enough. And I know everyone they pick and choose what they want to blame at the end of that Super Bowl loss. Just me, my thing to blame is not that Kyle wasn't more aggressive before halftime or whatever. It's that Jimmy missed wide open throws. And I don't mean he overthrew him. I mean, he didn't even see him. He didn't see people running wide open down the seam late in the game that would have put the game away. He didn't even see him. And that's what Brock does well. So, look, would I argue that Brock is more the product of the system than someone like Patrick or Josh? Yes. But in sports, come on, man, it is more about players than it is about coaches. How's Greg Popovich been doing lately? Winning a lot of games?
Football is more about coach than it is in any other sport.
I will agree, but it's still more about the player.
It is. It's always more about the player because you can scheme. Like, look at Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl. He schemed up a winning play, and his right guard went the wrong way. And so the defensive lineman came through untouched, and Brock had to rush it, and he didn't have time to make the throw. So was that a player thing? Yeah, the player broke down. The coach had it schemed up, but it didn't work. So the players have to make plays. Coaches coach, and players make plays to win games. That's a classic Low Neal-ism. And he's right. And last night, great example. They schemed a play. Zay is running open in the end zone. Lamar didn't see him.
Yeah.
And you lose the game.
Although I don't know that was the scheme because it's a broken play. Lamar's running around in circles, and I think Zay just broke loose.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're supposed to do. Run toward the quarterback across the back of the end zone. And he did it beautifully. And Lamar didn't see him.
Didn't see him. It's a shame.
Such a shame. Fade the dibbers. All right, let's go to...
we'll get into that.
Yeah, we sure will. Let's go to Pat in Foster City. Hi, Pat. What's up?
Hey, thanks for taking the call. Yeah, you were mentioning the survivor pool a little while ago, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I think that's the same thing. I call it the confidence pool, but is that where you kind of assign the 17 points to the game you think you're most certain of, and 16 and 15 and down to 1? Is that right?
No, that is a confidence pool. A survivor pool is where you pick one team and they have to win, and that's it. If your team wins, you go to the next week. If they don't win, you done.
Okay, so I guess I told the person that took my call it was a survivor pool, but the confidence pool, I can give a tip to you
Please.
and listeners that play that
No,
kind of
because
thing.
I do that too. We do all this stuff,
yeah.
Pat. So what do you got?
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
Well, I can get you, I can give you a guaranteed, it's proven to win, because I played this thing for years and never won a damn thing, and then I finally figured out how to beat anybody. So it's pretty simple, but you have to be in a pool where you can play more than one entry, or you get together with a few guys and you kind of team up.
It sounds like collusion is what you're saying, but go ahead.
Well, yeah. Well, you put in your 4 entries, right? And what you do is, let's say there's 17 games. Okay, you take the 2 games that most people are going to give a 1 or a 2 to, the closest games, the flip a coin games, right? And you box those at 16 and 17 respectively. So you are guaranteed to get a 17 and a 16. You're going to get 33 points, no matter who wins those 2 toss-up games on one of your bingo cards. And the rest of it, you just play straight down like everyone else does, 15 to 1. You start out with 33 points, and the best anyone else is probably going to get is 3 points. And you can win. I won many times, and I played with about 100 guys, and I won probably 5 out of 6 weeks. I tried this system, so it's a pretty foolproof system. Well,
Pat, I tell you what, now everybody knows it. This is a very popular station. It's a very popular show, so now everybody knows. So that's over now, Pat.
Well, I wanted to share it with you. I'm out of that pool now, so if anyone else can make some money, go for it. But it guarantees you to win money, I'll tell you.
Are you out of the pool because they kicked you out for cheating?
Yeah, sort of. It took them 5 or 6 weeks. It took them 6 weeks to figure it out, though. So, yeah.
Thank you, Pat. All right, that was awesome.
Win money but lose friends. That's the way that went.
I'm in one of those, but I don't think you can do 4 entries. We all just do 1 entry.
I'm in one, yeah.
Are you in one?
With point spreads, yeah.
Oh, and mine's without. But
this is point spreads.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, last night that was my 8. Yeah,
it evens everything out.
It does, but I mean, it evens it out, but it makes it even more of a crapshoot because
totally.
Last night, for example, you got maybe hypothetically you had Baltimore plus the 3, and you're thinking, wow, this is a loss. And then all of a sudden, hey, we got action. This might be a win. We win. Touchdown. Oh, boy, maybe not. And then right away, I was sitting next to supper, and we were watching the game. And
you knew the texts were going to come. They came
before
so
the text
fast.
came, I'm actually watching with supper, and she's doing her thing or whatever. I'm like, touchdown! They're going to go for 2. They're going to go for 2. And she looks up, and she looks at me, and I go, oh, never mind.
Oh.
She goes, what? I go, it's not a touchdown. Look at his toe.
Yeah.
She looks up, she looks at me and goes, can we change it now? You can change it, honey.
We watch Housewives
totally.
now.
This thing's over. Salt Lake is back.
I had to convince my people that his foot was out. They showed the highlight. I'm like, his foot is out. And people
like in real time, I thought it was a touchdown.
No, real time, I thought it was a touchdown. But then the full speed replay, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
And Abe goes, I see green. I'm like, eye doctor appointment for you. There's no green. And he's like, there's green. And other people, oh, I think he's in. He's in. I'm like, he's not in. And then the beautiful thing, and I actually kind of like this, I feel like this has only been maybe 3-4 years now, where yes, you get the super slow-mo highlight, but now you get that crazy zoom-in deal where you're like, oh, my God, like I can see one blade of grass. And then once you did that, you could clearly see the toe was out.
Yeah, it was a good 2 inches. But I was thinking about, for the moment, I was thinking, thank God for instant replay. Because if they didn't have it, and they called it a touchdown, and replay eventually showed that it wasn't really a touchdown, we'd be spending the entire show ripping the officials.
I'm a huge fan of instant replay despite its warts.
Yeah, that one worked.
Despite its warts.
That was a classic case of clear and definitive. They made the right call, and we can move on.
And I was still nervous that they were going to come out and call it the wrong way.
Yeah, I was.
Even when you can see it, you're like, yeah, but does that guy see it?
Right.
Does that guy see it? What do you got, Grandy?
Oh, I was just talking to Dibs.
Yeah,
okay.
It's getting me all revved up for my favorite minute of the day coming up.
Which one is that?
Fremont Bank.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Fade the Dibbers.
No, we'll get to that. I'm still.
We are.
It took me about 4 hours this morning to get over it.
Really?
I'm steaming around the kitchen and I'm making breakfast for the baby, and I'm just like, God, I don't even know how I'm going to face this today.
But you're over it now.
Oh, we'll see.
I was going to say.
I got another pick to make now.
And I've updated the open, so got a surprise for you, Dibs.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And it was not a bad beat.
We can get into that
It's
too.
an unfortunate beat.
It was a
It was not a
horrific
bad
beat. It was a terrible beat. Whatever. Keep fading me. I was close last night. Now
1-0.
I was close.
Close does not count.
So everybody who goes to get your money today, make sure the teller knows that you almost didn't get your money.
Exactly.
But you did.
You should tip your teller.
No.
And you're welcome, all of you who fade me.
I don't know why I just called it a teller. But anyway, we're presented by Fremont Bank, celebrating 60 years of full-service banking with no compromises. Joe Benigno, who's a crazy New York Jets fan, going to join us in about a half hour. We'll keep talking to you. 888-957-9570, Willard and Dibs.
Yeah, Willard and Dibs. And Mark mentioned Fremont Bank. And I'm
I'm out of that pool now, so if anyone else can make some money, go for it. But it guarantees you to win money, I'll tell you.
Are you out of the pool because they kicked you out for cheating?
Yeah, sort of. It took them 5 or 6 weeks. It took them 6 weeks to figure it out, though. So.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
He said you take your top 2 picks and box them. And I'm like, how many people even know what that means? Like, box them.
Yeah.
It's like an exacta box. Like
exactly.
He's coming straight from a horse races or something. He's doing it with NFL teams.
So Kansas City would be your 16-1. Baltimore would be your 16 in the other. Philly would be your 15-1. And you'd go Green Bay the 15 in the other. You'd box them.
Box them.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask my guy if, and I'll just, slyly send him a text like, you allowed multiple entries in the pool? Like, I mean, it's too late for this year. I'm just gathering some information
in the confidence pool. Or,
yeah.
I guess if you're allowed 2 entries, you wouldn't be able to box it.
Hey, you need 4 entries. You got to box them.
Right.
You got to take 2 and put them all. It's a permutation sensation.
I get it. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a big time exacta player. Hit the exacta in my dad's race actually last weekend. Yeah, it's small money, but nice to cash tickets always.
Remember, small money
Cash me out one time.
Small money can turn into big money. For those of you who wanted to know about the 16-team parlay, that we started yesterday for $2, we are 1-0. Chiefs minus 2.5. 1-0. Only 15 to go.
1-0. Call my message phone. 1-800-bet.
That's right. 1-800. We know what we're talking about.
Totally.
1-0.
I love it.
We are 15 wins away from $53,000.
It's exciting. Reminds me of betting pick sixes over the weekend where you hit the first 3 and you start to dream, and then race 4, you hit the crapper, and it's like, well, it's at least fun. You hit the first 3.
Well, I was even in the first one. I'm like, I'm going to win. And then Isaiah Likely caught that ball, and I'm like, oh, well.
$2 gone.
Easy come, easy go. Anyway, glad you're with us. 888-957-9570. We should let you know that in 24 minutes, a man named Joe Benigno is coming on. First of all, very fun to say. Joe Benigno.
Yep.
Really fun to say. But secondly, we are aware that you're probably like, who is Joe Benigno? Well, before we tell you who he is, let's let you hear what he sounds like. Grandy, if you please.
The Jets, I think, have more personal fouls this year than they do points. What a disgrace. Every week, some dumb penalty. And then I got to hear people like Buttle. How this guy still has a job on with them is unbelievable. I got to hear him say, well, the coaches are the players are frustrated. My ass. We are. The fans. We've been getting screwed for years by this franchise. 55 years without a Super Bowl. 13 years without a playoff appearance, the longest of any professional team in North American sports. 8 years without a winning season. Give me a break.
Joe.
I need him.
Benigno.
I need it immediately. Last winning season, 2015. Todd Bowles led him to a 10-6. Did make the playoffs. Last playoffs, 2010.
My ass!
Yeah.
Grandy,
wow.
Grandy, you are in my dome. I'm like, I was literally going to say to you, I'm like, we all got sucked in at the exact same moment of that sound clip. Please.
My ass!
There goes Willard down for the count. My yes! Pretty good.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, and it wasn't just that he said it. It was from the diaphragm.
No doubt.
It's from the diaphragm.
My ass!
That was from down here.
That's a lot of years of frustration. 3 years of Saleh, no playoffs. 2 years of Gase, no playoffs. 4 years of Bowles, no playoffs. And the last 4 of Rex, friend of the program, no playoffs.
A huge friend of the program. So Joe Benigno used to host Joe and Evan. He was the Joe in Joe and Evan.
Okay.
My ass!
I wouldn't have gotten that.
On WFAN. But then he retired in 2020, probably because his heart doctor told him to. He's also a former sports anchor on SNY, and he now hosts Oh, the Pain, which is the name of his podcast. Oh, the Pain.
My ass!
And I think we at 95.7 The Game, a little special affinity because he sort of went to WFAN the same way Guru came here.
Oh, really?
He was Joe from Saddle River. And he was a caller.
Oh, wow.
And then he won a contest held by the station to become a host, and we got this.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
There it is.
My ass!
That's what we got. They held a contest, and that's who won.
That's probably where our old PD got the idea to have a contest.
Probably.
Because I'm sure he won this contest before Guru did, which I think was in 2012 when Guru won.
Yeah, I mean, I guess apparently it was all the way back before 2000.
Okay.
It was in the 90s.
Great. That's phenomenal. Joe Benigno. Yeah. And I can feel his angst. And I think this goes to what we were talking about, because think about, just as a Bay Area sports fan, what you've experienced since the last Jets playoff victory, which was in the year of 2010, so probably 2011. So the Giants have 3, the Warriors have 4 titles, and the Niners have been to multiple Super Bowls. And yet, I know New York's had success with, I guess, the Yankees. No, the Yankees haven't won one since 2010.
I mean, the Yankees have been largely, if you think about the bar they've set, they have not been hitting it for a couple decades.
Not. But just as a Jets fan, if you're, I guess it's Jets and Mets, and it's Giants and Yankees for the most part. I don't know how New York works, but
whatever.
Either way, Jets fan, you've had nothing since the 2010 season. That's a long run of futility.
Well, you know what? And maybe this would be a fun thing to ask Joe Benigno, and we will, but it might be even more fun to ask you and all of us before Joe comes on. 888-957-9570, because I do hear this a lot. Boy, those Bay Area 49er fans, so spoiled, so entitled, so ungrateful. Is that true? You buy it? You hear that a lot from the area.
I think spoiled is a little strong, but I do think it comes down to appreciation. And I don't believe that we have the proper appreciation for what we're seeing and what we're experiencing. And a lot of this falls on Kyle Shanahan. We look at his shortcomings more than we step back and appreciate just how good we have it. Because you look at the Jets as a good example. No playoffs since 2010. 1 winning season since 2010. And that was a 10-6 campaign with Todd Bowles, and you didn't make the playoffs. So it's been a bunch of 8-8s, a handful of 5-11s, a sprinkling of 4-12s, and a 2-14. So the Jets have been through it since 2010. And yet we out here are complaining about an overthrow to Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl and an overtime coin toss botched in the Super Bowl, an arm that fell off in the NFC Championship game, and a dropped pick in the NFC Championship game. 4 things that we highlight as, oh, woe is me. Wow. And meanwhile, you got Joe Benigno swearing and cussing because they haven't done anything in 14 years. So, yes, privileged and spoiled. Maybe that's too strong, but certainly unappreciative at the very least.
So this always boils down to, I think, that same old concept of, is it better to have loved and lost than never loved at all? The Jets would represent you never loved at all. The 49ers, at least in recent years, have done a lot of loving and losing, which is, in other words, like, boy, we're in this great relationship, and it goes all the way to February, and then you tease us. You dangle the trophy right in front of our face. We can smell it. We can almost taste it. We can feel it, and then we don't get it, right? And so it feels like a breakup. I mean, Grandy even made a comment to us yesterday about watching this game last night. You said this brought up all of the feelings of February for you again, yeah?
Yeah, no doubt. And part of it is because the Niners, I don't know if as a Niner fan, I feel like I can say should have won that game in February. They easily could have. And now you see the Chiefs team that's probably better than they were last year. And you might look back on this past Super Bowl as the best chance to knock off the Chiefs.
I mean, maybe. I also think, look, everything out of a game like that, there's an overreaction to it inherently. Like, that's automatic. Everything we saw last night, we are overreacting. Remember what the Chiefs did a year ago last night. They lost.
Yep.
They lost with wide receivers having balls bouncing off of their just brick hands, and they lost, and then they still won the Super Bowl. And so that may be the Ravens this year. It was one football game. People are going to lose their entire fantasy free agent budget on Isaiah Likely. People are going to trade Mark Andrews. People are going to decide that Travis Kelce is done. Like all of these things, there's such an inherent overreaction to one game. So I do not look at last night and go, Chiefs are still the best. I can joke around and be like, good Lord, you gave him Xavier Worthy too for crying out loud. But
well, that was your immediate reaction.
It was.
And it felt like an overreaction. And then when you watch the rest of the game, you realized it may not be an overreaction because that guy with that skill set on that team, that one felt a little bit more real than an overreaction.
I think there'll be a problem.
Yes.
I think that when you put that kind of speed with a good play caller and a quarterback that offers so many different threats, I think it's very, very hard to defend. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, these people are very, very hard to defend because they can come at you from so many different angles. And when the Chiefs can be like this traditional drop back team and go, I got Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, you're going to have Marquise Brown soon, all these things, and then all of a sudden you can be like, whoa, that guy lined up in the slot and he's flying and he's gone. You're just like, well, crap. Like, how do you defend this? So I can see that. Look, they're good. Obviously, they're the Chiefs. We already knew that. But, yeah, everything's also an overreaction. We've got one game to react to at this point. So everything is kind of overdone.
It is, but at the same time, they've won the last two Super Bowls, and Grandy said it perfectly, I think, when he said they look better. They do look better. The defense probably not quite as good. The offense looks significantly better. Isaiah Pacheco, another one of these, he was undrafted, right? Or no, he was a seventh rounder, Isaiah Pacheco. And he looks to be the perfect running back for that system. Just a rugged, between the tackles guy who can make people miss, break a tackle, move the pile. They do look like a very, very good team. And Baltimore, for their part, their quarterback is a guy who every time he gets the ball in his hands, something exciting is going to happen. He's fun to watch, and they're dangerous because of him.
Absolutely. These were two, we knew this, right? These were two of the highest level teams out there. But I wonder this, thinking about the way we watched this game where it felt like, you listen to what Grandy just said, it feels like the 49er fan base right now flirts at times with an inferiority complex, which is funny with how much success they've had. And I'm not telling you how to feel. I just know, for example, how Joe Benigno would feel about how we feel. You know what I mean by that? That's all. I think that it's a good thing that we are a little spoiled, but we are.
Yeah.
I can carry that label. I got no issue with that.
Yeah, I guess. And spoiled is, part of not having an appreciation. And you are spoiled in that you've got one of the best coaches. You've got an owner who's not afraid to go out of pocket to rework contracts to keep everyone together. A GM who's in the Hall of Fame who is really good at working with the coach and building a great roster. They've had a very good roster now for a bunch of years running. And, you're a team that's humming. You've been to the Final Four of the last 5 years. So how can you not take that for granted in some ways? And outside looking in, Jets fan, you probably look at this and say, I want what they have.
Well, absolutely. And I think what this actually means is the bar has been set really high. So this is a very good thing. But nobody's going to be excited by 9-8. There's no near miss. Even if it's a wild card season and a first round out, people are going to look at that, and they should, as underwhelming and a huge disappointment. It's the same thing with the Golden State Warriors. How everyone's just hanging on by their fingernails to this idea that they're still a championship contender, even though if you really get down deep into someone's gut, they probably know that they're probably not going to be a championship contender, at least not as they're currently constructed. But we won't let that go because that's where our bar is. It's very hard to move the bar. If you want to know why Giants fans are so mad, Like, that's why you're so mad. It's not that the Giants have actually been, in the grand scheme of baseball, all that embarrassing. What they are, though, is a franchise that deserves better. And that's probably not the right word.
No, but I think you just...
The bar has been set, and that's what we expect you to try to shoot for, and it feels like now there's been an extended period of coming in below the bar.
It's funny you said that, because for me, the bar has been lowered so far for the Giants, and yet you still haven't reached the bar. Like this year, we all set the bar at 85 wins and be a wild card team.
Yeah.
It wasn't even be one of the best in baseball or win a chip. Or we moved the bar, and not just you and I, but Giants fans collectively. The odds makers set the over-under at 81.5. The bar has been set at mediocrity plus a little bit, and you can't even get there.
You're absolutely
That's
right.
what's so maddening, right?
No, I agree with you, but sort of my response to that would be like, look at the emotion you get. I think that's where you can tell where someone's bar is. And you're right, the bar has been lowered, but that's been missed again. And so you get just absolute emotional outpouring. Look at Guru and his Pirates fandom. He don't care.
Right.
Because why? Because the bar is all the way down on the ground.
There is no bar.
There's no bar.
Wow.
There's no bar. So they just sit there and they're like, well, yeah. It's bothering me. That's what you expect. And if something better than that happens, you do this like eyebrow-raising thing where you're like, hey, the Pirates are actually only one game under 500.
Sports, man.
Yeah.
Granny's in his bag in there.
Yeah, he is. Guru said something about sports earlier today that I thought was maybe the greatest thing he's ever said about it. He goes, I feel bad for people who aren't sports fans. It's like, how can you not?
How can you miss this?
Like, what's the bad? Like, I just feel bad for him.
Yeah.
And then Steiny started talking about the arts. And I got all these feels because he brought up the Louvre and the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
And I've been there. And I started thinking, Guru is so right, because I've been there, and for the life of me, I could not figure out while I was there, why is this so famous? I'm in a room. There's a picture of a person. It's not really anything special about it other than that.
It's behind bulletproof glass.
Bulletproof glass. There's a long line. When you get there, you just look at it. Oh. Yeah. And then you leave. It's like Chevy Chase at the Grand Canyon. You just, oh, there it is. All right. And then you leave, and you're like, I traveled 11 hours on a plane to get all the, right?
It's history, though.
Exactly.
It's history.
But it's because someone told you that. A lot of things are history.
Well, it's been decided that it's one of the finest works of art.
But that's my point. Someone told us that.
Right.
You and I didn't walk in front of it and go, it's one of the finest pieces of arts I've ever seen.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's like
picture of a lady.
It's a picture of a lady. It's just a thing. But I've been told when I go to France, that's what I have to go see. And then you feel stupid if you act like when you're in these museums, you don't like what you're seeing. You have to act, oh, boy, yeah, did you see the... No, it's just stuff.
You check in the box. Exactly.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Let's go get a croissant and just... be fat and happy. What am I looking at right now?
I'm going to eat it.
Thank
there
you.
are other museums that will deliver more bang for the buck in Paris. Hi, I'm Rick Steves, Europe through the back door.
I took Rick Steves on this trip, and I went to all of them, and I had the same reaction to all of them.
Oh, you go to the Musée d'Orsay?
Been there.
Converted train station?
Been there.
Spectacular impressionism there.
What?
You're welcome. I'm just a little bit more sophisticated than you, Mark. I'm in touch with the arts like Steiny.
I don't argue this at all. I'm in there, and you, thank you. You immediately realize you're like, I'm only here because someone told me I'm supposed to be here, and now I'm going to feel dumb if I don't act like this is amazing.
It's a different muscle than sports, and you can appreciate both. The thing about sports is, like last night, for example, you get down to the last couple of plays, 10 seconds to go, and unlike the Mona Lisa, you don't know what's going to happen. When you go see the Mona Lisa, you've seen pictures of it 1,000 times. You look at it and you go, yeah, that's the Mona Lisa, all right.
I mean, you can make it dramatic if you want.
Where do you want to go to lunch?
Jump over the ropes. It'll get dramatic fast.
Or try to throw some paint on it or whatever. You can go dramatic. People do that. People try to vandalize art.
Or just start ripping it. Just like get up to the Mona Lisa, start chanting overrated. right when you get there.
Oh, I thought you meant physically ripping it, trying to rip it apart.
No.
Yeah.
Overrated.
Totally. Yeah. It's just, it's art but sports, man.
I got nothing against art, but Goo he hit me with that. He hit me in the cardiac.
Yeah.
Well, he hit me because I'm like, yeah, man, I want you all. I wish for everyone to experience it the way those of us who are diehards experience it.
Especially last night, and I think yesterday when we played all the theme songs and the three of us, and Ken probably was excited too. I can't see him, but that really set the mood. And then you get to kickoff, and you and I are watching it in here. It's like, here we go. This is the first of 272, and man, football hits differently because even though neither of those teams are our teams, and forget fantasy, if you had somebody, you're more interested. But even if I had no one in that game, I would have been completely invested.
Absolutely. I've told you this before. That time we were at the Super Bowl party and I looked out the window and there was a guy going for a run.
Right.
I wanted to chase him down the street.
What's wrong with you?
I wanted to get to him and be like, sports, man. What are you doing out here?
Sports, man.
You got to get inside a house and watch the game. You can't just have AirPods in, running around aimlessly, getting fresh air. That's not what today's all about.
Yeah, you got to be locked in.
Sheesh.
But apparently not everyone is like that. But
yeah, I know. Well, tickets would be a lot more expensive if everybody was in.
That's true.
So it's okay. Like, it's fine. But I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't really understand it either.
Get it.
Like, I don't even know if I have anybody in my circle who's like, yeah, who's in the Super Bowl? Or
well, your wife.
She watches. She watches enough to know what's going on.
She watches because of you, though.
And the first question last night was, is Taylor there? So, and I said yes.
Yes.
And I said, I'll even tell you what she's wearing because Mark reported to me what she's wearing.
Dude, daughter got home from soccer practice and she had already seen what Taylor was wearing and she had not watched any of the game yet.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, that's what a phone will do for you.
Yep.
Like immediately, what's the outfit? Yeah.
There you go.
Why not?
That's what, bringing new fans to the game.
That's what we're doing to the players now, too. Everybody's doing their entrance videos.
That's right.
What are they wearing? Why can't we do that with Taylor Swift?
You sure can.
Yeah.
Well, she scrutinized everything she does.
Exactly. Exactly. I thought she looked great last night.
Yeah.
He only caught 3 balls, so he didn't get a lot of cutaway shots, but, they
just
won.
the one cutaway, I think, right?
That I can remember.
Yeah.
I was a little in and out.
Yeah, I was walking too. Yeah, doing the thing.
I was cooking. I mean, I was locked in, but unfortunately, I don't have a kitchen where I can see the TV. It's frustrating.
You got to get one of those TV kitchens.
Yeah, I do. I just got
a little kitchen TV.
Yeah. 49ers don't play till Monday night, but we got you covered on Sunday as well, kicking off this 2024 NFL season. The Patriots and the Bengals, 10 a.m. Raiders, Chargers, 1 p.m. We've got them both right here on 95.7 The Game. And we've also got Joe Benigno.
My ass!
That's right. That's Joe Benigno. He likes the Jets, and it has been the hardest part of his life. And he will join us next on Willard and Dibs.
Now, back to
Will and Dibby
on 95.7 The Game.
Well, something tells me this is going to be fun.
Oh, I can't wait.
Something tells me that this is going to be fun. We just told you, not just a huge Jets fan, but the former host of Joe and Evan on WFAN, now hosts a podcast called Oh, the Pain.
I wonder if that's from Lost in Space. And Dr. Smith, that's what he used to say. Oh, the pain. Oh, the pain.
There's only one way to find out,
okay.
and that's by going to the River Islands guest line and asking our next guest, Joe Benigno, that very question, who joins us now. Hey, good evening, Joe. How you doing?
I'm good, and that was Dr. Smith from Lost in Space, indeed. Oh,
Look
the
at
pain.
Me. Look at me.
Very impressive.
I didn't think you guys were old enough for that now. Come on.
No, he is.
Sadly, Joe, I go back a ways now, Joe.
Hey, all right, there you go.
Pain. Oh, the pain.
But then again,
when you root for the teams I root for, I mean, I'm a Jet, Met, Nick, and Ranger fan. So there's been a lot of pain over the years. I mean, we haven't exactly lined up championships over the years, you know.
Yeah, well, describe that. Like, the pain. The Jets fans that we Niner fans are going to be seeing on Monday night. Like, how much pain are they in, Joe?
Well, I mean, look, I can only speak for myself. I've been a Jet fan since 1965. We have not won a Super Bowl nor been to one in 56 years. I was 15 years old when they went to the Super Bowl and won. Bill will be 71 next month and have not seen one since. So there's been a lot of pain. There's no doubt about it. There certainly was a lot of pain last year, 4 plays into the season when, the savior, Rodgers, tears his Achilles, and there goes another season down the drain. So, we've been through this a lot over the years, and that's why I go into every season, even this one where things look good and, on paper they look like a really good team. I go into every year. I'll believe it when I see it. That's my attitude.
Even with Aaron back and reportedly 100% healthy, does that give you at least a little bit more of a boost toward confidence, or are you still skewing toward the negative just based on the history since 2010?
Well, look, to me, it's all about health. As Hyman Roth said to Michael Corleone and Godfather 2, Michael, the most important thing is health. And that's really the truth, certainly in the NFL, but certainly when you're talking about Aaron Rodgers here. He has to stay healthy. I think if he stays healthy and he plays 17 games for the Jets this year, I think you're looking at certainly a winning season, probably a playoff season. My goal this year, what I want to see, of course I want to win the Super Bowl, but like I said, it's only been 56 years. Why would I believe it's going to happen now? What I want to see is a division title. They haven't won the division in 22 years. They've only won the AFC East twice since the merger. It's winnable. Buffalo's taking a hit. I know Allen is still there, but, they lost a lot of guys, Stephon Diggs, guys in the secondary. Miami, to me, Miami is they're a team that they'll start out hot, and when the big games come, they usually fold. And obviously New England is, a completely different world now. Jared Mayo's the head coach. Who knows about it? Jacoby Brissett's actually starting against Cincinnati on Sunday. Bill's gone. Bill's got his hands full now anyway, as we all know. But, what can I tell you? But he's gone, so it's going to be a different world in the AFC East, and there's no reason the Jets can't win it.
He used to be, long time ago, Joe from Saddle River.
Right.
And then he won a contest at WFAN, became a big-time host of the Joe and Evan Show on FAN, former sports anchor at SNY, Oh, the Pain podcast. He is Joe Benigno and a huge, huge Jets fan. So I know everybody asks you about Rodgers, but we know who that is. What about the rest of this group? Like, who do the 49ers or what group do the Niners really need to look out for on Monday night?
Well, we got 2 guys, skill position guys that I think are as good as anybody in football. Garrett Wilson, and wide receiver, and Breece Hall, to me, who, I think he's one of the premier backs in the National Football League. He's a Marshall. He's got the potential to be a Marshall Faulk type player, a guy who can, not only rush for well over 1,000 yards, like your guy Roger Craig did, rush for over 1,000 yards and catch passes for over 1,000 yards. Hall has that kind of ability. So you got 2 real big-time offensive threats as far as I'm concerned. But, it goes back again to health, and it goes back to the offensive line. They remade the offensive line. Tyron Smith now left tackle, the old Cowboy, Morgan Moses, the former Raven.
They brought this guy Simpson in at guard, another former Raven. Hopefully Elijah Verituck will be healthy this year. He's been, 2 years in a row he got injured early in the season and never came back. So we'll see. Hopefully he's healthy for a whole year this year. So a lot depends on that. But Hall and Wilson, big-time guys. Tyler Conklin's a solid tight end. And then, of course, the defense. The defense is good. Is the defense wrecking type defense? Are they the 86 Giants, or the 85 Bears, or the 2000 Ravens? Or I'll even throw in the 84 San Francisco 49ers. How about that? That went 15-1 and had a very underrated defense. I don't know, but they're good. And look, again, if this team stays healthy, this team should be a playoff team at the very least, no doubt.
Yeah, we were looking at the odds earlier, Joe, and I think they're 55% implied odds, the minus 145 to make the playoffs. So the odds makers like the Jets' chances to snap that long skid of ignominy. You're going up against a young quarterback, one who's made a big splash in Brock Purdy. What's been your impression of young Purdy with the Niners through a year and a half as a starter?
Well, I think he's done a tremendous job. By the way, he was Breece Hall's roommate at Iowa State.
Good knowledge.
I think the guy's done a tremendous job. I give a lot of credit to Kyle Shanahan, though. I think Kyle Shanahan's one of the top coaches in football. I know he hasn't been able to get over the hump. He hasn't been able to beat the Chiefs in the big game yet, but to me, he's one of the top coaches in the NFL, and I think he does a phenomenal job with quarterbacks. And I think he's done a great job with Brock Purdy here. Now, it helps that he's surrounded with the kind of, when the guys that are surrounded him, when you got McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and Ayuk and, these kind of guys around him, that certainly helps. There's no question about that. Look, he took him to the Super Bowl last year, so obviously this guy's a legitimate quarterback.
Hey, Joe, it's as New York as anything ever to just hate the coach, right? So we love Robert Saleh here. What do you think?
Well, you love him because he was a tremendous defensive coordinator for your team. And I'll say this. If they don't make the playoffs this year, and dare I say, make a deep run, but certainly make the playoffs, he may be back as your defensive coordinator again. You never know. That could happen.
Is he taking on a lot of the preseason criticism? Would you put him on some sort of a hot seat, considering how good the defense is and now having Aaron Rodgers back healthy?
Well, he's on a hot seat. Look, let's be honest. He's 18-33 as a head coach. And I with the Jets, and I understand that he's never had a quarterback. Look, Zach Wilson was terrible. One of the worst picks of all time. But he was terrible. Last year, it looked like he finally had it with Aaron Rodgers, and then we all know what happened, and it's right back to Wilson again. So this is it. They got to win. The pressure's on. That's it. And eventually, let's be honest, too. The window is closing when they're going to have to pay guys. They're going to have to pay Breece Hall. They're going to have to pay Garrett Wilson. They're going to have to pay Sauce Gardner. So, the time is now. And the time is certainly now for the head coach. There's no question about that.
Joe, will you say the name Sauce Gardner for us, please?
Sauce Gardner.
It's so good.
You don't get that out of here, Joe. You don't get a good Sauce Gardner.
I know we got the accent out here. What do they call him? Ahmed? That's his real name, Ahmed Gardner.
We'll stick with Sauce.
I don't even know if anybody knew that.
Yeah.
Right.
Jesse, you had me at Sauce is the way that went.
Joe, let's get into Monday night, man. What do you think is going to happen?
I tell you, I like the Jets with the points. And that's generally I wouldn't, but I do. I like them getting 4.5. I think they got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. This team's got a lot to prove. Rodgers has got a lot to prove. He's had pretty good success against the Niners, maybe not in the playoffs, but he is 10-0 as a starter on Monday Night Football. I don't know if they included last year's game or not, but I don't know. But he has had success on Monday Night Football in the past. I think they're going to play well here. I think it's going to be a close game. And look, the Niners have had some issues. You just got Trent Williams back. You just recently re-signed Ayuk, so there's some a situation there, and there's some things there. I think the Jets are going to play well. Rodgers hasn't played for a year; he's got something to prove. I think he's going to have a big game on Monday night. I do.
How hard do you think it'll be for him to shake off the rust, having only played 4 snaps last year and not played until back in 2022?
I don't know. That's a good question. Look, he's an all-time great. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. We all know that. I don't think it'll be long. I think he's going to play a good game tomorrow. Maybe he'll be a little rusty early. I'll tell you one thing, too. I look at our offense. I think we need to be a run-first offense. I mentioned Breece Hall. We got that terrific rookie and this kid Allen. who they drafted out of Wisconsin. They got a couple other guys in the backfield as well. I think they got to be the kind of team that runs the football first, and Rodgers, throwing off of that. I mean, I don't want to see him throwing 50 passes a game. 25 to 30 passes a game, that's probably winning football. So, I don't think he's going to be – I don't think all the onus is on Rodgers offensively because I think they got a pretty damn good running game.
Joe, are the fans going to travel out here? Like, are they coming?
I know there's a lot of people going to the game in Nashville in week 2 when we play the Titans. I don't know how many people are going out there. I think it probably hurts, too, that it's a Monday night game, which I'm, please, can we play 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Can I play the Niners at 4 o'clock on Sunday, please? I mean, that's one of the things about being I don't know how the Jets are a marquee team when you haven't made the playoffs in 14 years, but whatever. It's all about Rodgers. All these night games. Oh, I hate it. The home opener is at night against New England on a Thursday night. They got like 6 or 7 night games. I can't stand it.
Well, 6 of the first 11, Joe.
You live on the wrong side of the country. Have you ever experienced NFL fandom out here on the West Coast? It's beautiful.
I know. That's unbelievable. I mean, I know. No, look, I mean, that's, you're getting Monday Night Football at 5:30. You're getting Sunday Night Football at 4:30 or whatever time it is, 5 o'clock or whatever. Yeah. So, no, you're watching the 1 o'clock games at 10 in the morning. I mean, I get it.
That's the stuff, John.
That wouldn't be bad.
That's what's led to a lot of day drinking out here with those 10 o'clock games now.
I could understand that. I could see that.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that.
It could be a bit of a gauntlet. So if, in fact, the Jets, and, God forbid from your standpoint, come out here and lose, are you immediately going volume up to 10 and lambasting this franchise for more woes?
No. I think you look at the schedule and you kind of expect them to lose this game. You know what I mean? I look what's after San Francisco. They go to Nashville to play the Titans. They come home to play New England. They play the Broncos at home after that. They need to be 3-1, and then they go to London. I think it's London, and they go to Europe somewhere. They go to London.
Minnesota, to play exactly.
Minnesota, right? Minnesota in London. So they need to be 3-1 by the time they go to London. So I look at this game as almost a little bit of a house money game. I really do. You're playing the Super Bowl team lost in the Super Bowl last year. You're on the road, Monday Night Football. But I do think they're going to play a solid game here. But no, if they lose this game, I'm not going to go crazy. Now, if they lose the game by Rodgers throwing a pick six, a walk-off pick six in overtime, I don't think I'd be too happy about it. But you know what I mean. It's only you can't go nuts opening week. Because to me, it's probably as meaningless a week as there is in the regular season. It's almost impossible to pick these games because you got nothing, you got nothing to base it on at all. So no, I don't think the panic button will be pushed if they lose to the Niners. No.
Joe Benigno is with us. Oh, the Pain podcast, longtime host on WFAN, also anchor on SNY, joining us. Joe, how deep dive of a fan are you? Do you know every player at every position?
Well, I mean, I know that I think I got a pretty good idea to roster. Okay. I've only been a fan of this team for since 1965.
Well,
I got a pretty good feel for my football team.
There's a reason I'm asking because we would love your reaction on the major acquisition of the offseason, Javon Kinlaw. Your thoughts?
I think he's a good player. I think he's a solid defensive lineman. I know we got him from San Francisco. He's going to have some big shoes to fill because they let go John Franklin Myers because of this disaster of a trade they made for Hassan Reddick, who still has not shown up, by the way. And that ticks me off. Why did you make the trade for this guy? When you didn't have his name on a contract, you let Bryce Huff walk. Okay, who you was a homegrown guy. You developed him. They looked like they had no intention of re-signing him. They let him walk away to the Eagles. They make a big splash by trading for Reddick, and now this guy's not playing. And I'm very upset about that. And you know what happens. Obviously, he's not playing Sunday. He doesn't have a contract yet. And you know what happens with these guys. They don't play. They're not there for training camp. They're not there for the preseason. And then they sign a big contract, and next thing you know, they play, and 2 weeks into it, they're out. They pull a hamstring, whatever. We've seen that over and over again. So the Reddick situation really ticks me off. But, just getting back to Kinlaw, I think he's a solid player, solid guy. He's going to help stuff the run. He'll play next to Trent Williams. I think he's a solid player.
What do you think about the Trent Williams matchup as he comes out here? A guy who kind of also held out, and he came in to camp, missed all of camp, and he's going to be going up against a pretty good front. How do you think that's going to go on Monday night?
Well, I mean, look, you could make the case that he's the premier left tackle in football. So you expect that he's going to be good, but who knows? He didn't play. When did he sign? He signed when exactly?
About a week ago, maybe 6 days ago.
Right. So who knows? You never know with these guys when they hold out. Like I said, injuries are always a possibility, but he's a premier player, and I expect he'll be effective. I would be surprised if he wouldn't be.
Okay, Joe from Saddle River, we had a blast talking to you, man.
Yeah. Hey, anytime, guys. And, hey, well, maybe we'll have that. Maybe we'll be in New Orleans for that Jets-San Francisco Super Bowl. Don't hold your breath for that. You guys might be there. I don't know about us. But I don't know about my team.
You can tell the rings on your tree are there, man. Like, you should be confident. You don't sound that confident.
Bro, like I told you, I was 15 when they won the Super Bowl. I'm going to be 71. They haven't been back. I'll believe it when I see it. And remember, what happened last year with Rodgers could only happen to the Jets. There's no other franchise where after all the hoopla of Rodgers coming here, 4 plays into it, he tears his Achilles up. Only one franchise could that happen.
Oh, but what a 4 plays those were, Joe, huh?
Oh, great. Just maybe he'll actually complete a pass this year. What do you think?
That'd be crazy.
I like his chances.
Leonard Floyd is in this game too. You know that now.
No, I know that's right. That's right. He's the guy that took him out last year with the Bills. Yeah, no, I know. The offensive line's a little better this year, so I'm hoping we don't have that kind of. I'm hoping we got that's taken care of. Let's hope so.
Joe, thanks, man. Fun to talk to you.
Hey guys, God bless. Great talking to you. We'll talk again.
There he goes. All right, you too, Joe Benigno.
So good. So good. Sauce. I mean,
Sauce God.
Just do the New York accent the whole time. I love it.
That's tremendous.
Cautiously pessimistic about Monday night.
Yeah, you get it. Again, like that's just years of being beaten down, like to call this one house money. I get it. The Niners are favored. And you're going to be very, very cautious after all the years of being beaten down if you're a Jets fan. By the same token, you could turn around and look at least on paper what they've got right now, and I would think you'd be more excited about it than you've been in a long time.
Yeah.
Then again, they probably felt this exactly a year ago, and like you just said, it lasted 4 plays.
That's right, and I do think Joe makes a good point about the schedule. You go to Tennessee, which is a winnable road game. New England at home is a should win. Denver at home is a should win. And then they go to London. So if you head to London and you're 3-1, you're feeling great. If you're 2-2, you're feeling okay. You've got Minnesota in that spot for the Jets, and then you come back and you take on Buffalo. So a little bit of a soft schedule for the Jets after the Niner opener on Monday.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And he said they've got to be 3-1. That's a lot to ask in the NFL to start off, especially if you're assuming already they're going to be 0-1.
Yeah.
There's a call for a 3-game win streak right out of the gate. 888-957-957. Let's go to Matt in Orinda. Hi, Matt. Thanks for calling Willie and Dibby.
Hey, guys. Joe from Saddle River. Fantastic, huh?
Yeah, not bad.
Really good.
Not bad. Sauce.
I tell you, so I go back with Dibs 20 years, been listening to Dibs for 20 years, and I just want to ask you guys for a favor. Not trying to tell you how to do your jobs, but boy, was it refreshing to hear somebody say on the air, that pick was terrible. He's an awful player. Like, I think if there's any 2 guys that can step it up and bring just a touch of that to our coast, it's you too. Can I get a commitment?
Yeah, well, I will commit to rip every pick that is even borderline from here on out.
And Matt, let me try right now. That guy Joe from Saddle River's obviously never seen Javon Kinlaw play. That dude stinks, and he's a bust.
You know what? I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing there, Willard. And think about how great this would be just to have half of that personality talking about the Giants right now. It would be amazing.
You talking about the New York Giants or the San Francisco Giants?
Yeah, we're not talking about those other Giants. Yeah.
That's really funny. You know what? I feel like I walked right. I feel like I walked right into that one. I should have gone the other way.
Yeah.
But boy, that was great. Get him back on. You guys are awesome.
Will do.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate
Before the
it.
Super Bowl in New Orleans, we'll have him in person when we're down there in New Orleans.
Or the morning after on Tuesday. Who knows?
You never know.
You know what I mean?
He was terrific, but
yeah.
I mean, I like to think that we rip appropriately. I don't think we shy away from it. And you know what you said about Javon Kinlaw is an interesting one because I don't think it's fair to call anyone a bust until they get a second chance to show that they're not very good. Trey Lance is a good example.
See, that's interesting.
Trey Lance has gotten a shot now in Dallas, and he's QB. Well, he's QB3 is my point.
That's
if
what
he was
last
really,
year.
really good, then he would be QB2 at least, and so that kind of validates what the Niners did. The James Wiseman thing is another one where, okay, I think it's fair now to say that that was a bad pick because he's had a second chance to show.
See, that's so interesting to me because I actually look at it a completely different way. To me, a bust is more the reference not to the person but to the pick. So
yeah, there's two different levels to it.
So
sure.
if you go do something, if Javon Kinlaw now stays healthy and has a productive career as a defensive lineman, still a bust of a pick for the 49ers.
Well, I think then it becomes a double mistake by the Niners. If he goes on to be a good player, you picked him, you didn't really have him play well for you, and then he goes and plays well elsewhere, that becomes a double hit.
Yeah, but don't we know better than anybody that a lot of players, in fact, I might even argue to a certain degree, all players are a product of the opportunity you have, the system that's around you, who's next to you. You know what I mean? Like, we can sit here, and I hear Niner fans do this all the time. They're like, Brock Purdy's really good. I don't think he'd be that good on the Ravens, but he's really good. It's like, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a marriage. For every player, this situation needs to work. And Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan feel like a perfect marriage. I don't know what it would look like somewhere else. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter. If it works here, that's all that it's got to do. It just has to work here. Brock doesn't need to be good anywhere else.
No.
So I don't care if he would be good anywhere else. I don't want him to be good anywhere else.
Hopefully he never plays anywhere else.
Exactly. But Javon Kinlaw for the 49ers was a bust.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, the pick becomes a bust, but I don't know if the player necessarily is a bust just yet. And, if he goes out and plays great for the Jets, maybe he's a 8-year Jet and he starts every game and he's impactful in the 3 technique. Well, then you look at the Niners and you think, well, maybe you let a talented player go before you should have.
We're presented by Fremont Bank, celebrating 60 years of full-service banking with no compromises. Oh, it's about to get good. You know what's coming up next. First of all, if you missed our conversation with Rex Ryan earlier, he was fantastic, and we will have that for you again around the corner. But before we do that, it is time to fade the dibbers.
Wait, what? We're doing that again?
It's time.
I thought that was just a one-off. We were having fun yesterday.
We're going to take you south of the border.
Wait, what?
We're going to take you south of the border with me. It's time to fade the dibbers.
On an intercontinental basis?
That's right. That's right.
Man.
That's coming up next on Willard and Dibs.
Sauce Gardner.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, that was fun. And this is going to be fun because, first of all, in about 5 minutes, you're going to be rocking and rolling with Rex. Rex Ryan was on with us earlier today. If you missed it, perfect thing for your drive home because we're going to get into Niners, we're going to get into Jets, we're going to get into Niners and Jets, we're going to get into Packers and Eagles, we're going to get into some surprise things from Rex Ryan. Really good conversation. You'll hear that coming up here in just a little bit. And then also, like we should give people a little bit of a backgrounder, which is that, you have had a little bit of a rough patch this year. And so there are certain people, not me. Don't look at this host.
All right.
I have not laid $1 against your picks. Not one.
And I respect that.
Against my better judgment.
Well, and I'm not sure if I believe you.
We got people. No, believe me. Believe me. Now, I put last night's Chiefs game on the Super Parlay, but that was before you had even made a pick. I didn't even know who you were going to pick.
Right. I believe it.
We got people around here trying to put together 401ks, Roth IRAs. They're trying to put stuff together here based on going against your picks.
And I love it because I am not as bad as you think. Reports of my gambling demise are inaccurate and premature.
Greatly overstated.
Greatly overstated, as I do my low doing Obama.
You want to know how wide-reaching your picks are?
I'd love to, Mark Randy.
So Lucas is off in Big Sky country. He texted me last night, how could you not tell me Dibs is on the Ravens?
He
has the Odyssey app. That's a Lucas problem.
Well, it's not that much of a problem. He paid for this trip by betting against you.
Okay, now that's categorically false.
True. It's true. It's a fact, Jack. You do not get your own open by accident. You got to miss a bunch of games in a row before someone puts something like this together for you.
It's time for
Fade the Dibbers.
Please explain.
Nostradamus gives out his pick. You bet against it, you make money.
Cash me out one time.
It's that simple.
Hey, Dibs, your pick stinks.
Dibs, what's the lock of the day?
I mean, where did the chorus come from?
It's pretty great. It's pretty great, and that's right. Our promise to you here on Willard and Dibs, all season long, we got a prime time game, then we're going to give you Dibbers.
Yeah, and I'm giving out locks, and if you want to fade me, well, you better hope that I don't get hot, because your boy's going to go on a heater before too long. Yeah, I'm 0-1 right now, which means all of you faders are 1-0.
1-0.
Yeah, you picked Baltimore +3 yesterday. The final score was Kansas City 27, Baltimore 20.
A real producer would have the audio to play back of my braggadocio nature of having the pick wrong, but maybe next time.
A real producer would have that I almost called the damn score, let alone the right pick.
Well, you can have your own segment.
It's not about you, Willard.
It's not about you.
All right, I'll duck out.
It's about me. I'll tell you what. I got tonight's game wired. I got this one on lock
because said that last night.
3, 2, and 1. I tell you what, I got this one wired. I got this one locked up and locked down. The reports of the Eagles' demise, premature. Philly loves being in Brazil. The more mature team is going to handle the distractions of Brazil better than the youngsters who will be on the beach looking all the topless hoo-ha. I'm taking Philly and laying the 2.
Did you say that?
I said topless
hoo-ha.
Topless
hoo-ha?
Yep.
You can't.
You'll hear Rex Ryan refer to distractions about being in Brazil.
You're making picks. We're 2 games in, and you're making picks based on the topless hoo-ha?
Philly -2. Lock it up.
By the way, are we giving him 2 or are we giving him 1.5? I see it at 1.5.
I'm trying to be nice to.
Yeah,
I'm looking at 2.5 as well.
Oh, you're looking at 2.5.
FanDuel has 2.5. Bet 365 has 1.5.
Let's go 2.
ESPN's got 2.
Let's go 2. Two's fair. That's good. We'll do a
DraftKings has it at 2.
Yeah, right down
MGM has it at 2.
There it is.
All right.
The Philadelphia is -2. By the way, I'm not doing this for effect.
Oh, no.
I'm not doing this.
16-team parlay.
No, I'm not doing this for effect. I'm so glad that you picked the Eagles -2. Y'all, play the money line. Green Bay's winning this game.
Oh, jeez.
Green Bay is not covering the spread. Green Bay is winning this game.
Did you put them on the money line in your little parlay?
No, I used
the
spread.
the 2?
I didn't use the money line. I wanted to do it quick. I was just like, all spreads.
You got +2, or what'd you get at?
Well, I got to log in and look now.
You don't have to worry about it.
That.
Maybe,
I think I got it at 2. I hope I got it at 2. It's at 1.5 now. Let's see. 16-team parlay. I have got the Green Bay Packers +2.
There you go.
+2.
So 2 is the number. And coming up on Monday, as we all will be down at the Hilton in Santa Clara, I'll be 1-1 leading into that Monday night game. I already have my Monday night pick. I've already got it secured. I know what I'm doing on Monday night. So
I've totally changed my goals for this evening. I am now going into all of my apps.
Oh, God.
And changing the name of all of my fantasy teams to the Topless Hoo-Ha. That is now what I'm going by for the rest of the year.
Well,
we are the Topless Hoo-Has.
I do think that the distractions in Brazil are going to be a factor for the younger team, distracted by the Topless Hoo-Has.
You're acting like the Eagles are a bunch of 58-year-old men.
A mature group.
Yeah, they're thinking about retirement, talking about putting the kids through college.
Yeah.
Eagles got some young people now, too. Eagles got some young people, too.
Now,
okay. Yeah, they got young people now.
I get it.
All right, that was fun.
Yeah.
Fade the Dibber says.
I hate this segment. I need to go on a heater to put this segment to bed.
Not gonna happen. Anyway, Eagles +2. Hey, public, you know what to do. You also know what to do. You should stay right here because earlier today we talked to Rex Ryan. And he was absolutely fantastic with ESPN. And we started out by thanking him for coming on and asking him simply how he was doing.
Fantastic. And it's great to be here with you guys.
Yeah, great to have you. Did you have the same thought I did when I saw Xavier Worthy look exactly like Tyreek Hill last night? And I just went, oh, no. Oh, no, the league let these guys get better.
That's scary, wasn't it? I mean, it's like, come on, this guy. At first, it's funny because I was thinking, he's a first-round pick. He broke the combine record, fastest 40. But I'm like, there's no way in heck this guy's going to be like Tyreek Hill. And then he gets 2 touchdowns his first game, and it's like, uh-oh. But, yeah, no, that was impressive. It was a hell of a game, too. And, those two teams they may go, be representing the AFC in that championship game. Both those two teams look pretty darn good to me. But, yeah, Xavier Worthy, that's just what Kansas City needs, another Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, a little bit of the PTSD bowl for us out here, Rex. The last 2 teams that beat the Niners, forget the Rams in the last game of the year when the Niners didn't even really show up. But of those 2 teams, Baltimore and Kansas City, if you're a Niner fan, which one would you have to fear more?
I don't think it matters. I thought Baltimore had the best team in the league last year. I never thought it was close. So, they kind of laid an egg. Kansas City, wins that game. But now you do it 2 times in a row. I guess it's not it's certainly not a fluke. So, but either one of those 2 teams are going to be tough for anybody. And, we'll see. Hey, we'll see if the Niners get there again or not. But, they had to feel pretty fortunate beating Detroit, I think, in that championship games when you're down 17 points. That to come back and win that game was pretty dang impressive. And obviously, the Super Bowl was a disappointment. They played well. It's just you got beat. But Niners are outstanding. There's no doubt about it. They're well coached and man, oh man, they got a ton of weapons. They're fun to watch.
Rex, as always, we're talking a lot about quarterbacks. And as the world is still trying to put a finger on exactly who and what Brock Purdy is, we're looking at those 2 guys last night and kind of comparing and contrasting them stylistically. I wonder from your perspective as a coach, if you could get on a computer and sort of dial up the style of a quarterback, the characteristics of a quarterback that matter to you most, what would you dial up?
Well, I think accuracy is the main thing. Throwing the football is the main thing. You got to be smart because you got to learn the system. You got to have all that stuff down. But mobility, I think mobility is something that I remember. Bill Walsh was actually a mentor of mine, which is crazy because he was an offensive guy. But he was gracious enough, spent a lot of time with me when I was a young coach, going up the ranks and things. But he always talked to me about that. He thought mobility was one of the things that was important for quarterbacks. And Purdy is never going to be confused with Lamar Jackson, but he does have some mobility, and he's got a great pocket presence too. And it's so funny because everybody's like, "Oh, Brock Purdy's not any good." He's not any good. He all he did was lead the NFL in QBR last year. He averaged almost 10 yards a pass attempt. 9.6 yards, which, by the way, led the league. And, oh, by the way, it's not just dink and dunk stuff. He's throwing it down the field, pitching it down the field. So, to me, he's not, you're never going to trade, Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes for Brock Purdy. But, hell, he's pretty dang good. And I think it's time people started realizing that he's one of the reasons why the Niners are so good. It's not just the great weapons they have, and albeit they got great weapons, but damn, Brock Purdy's a pretty good weapon too.
Rex Ryan here on 95.7 The Game. Is part of his success stemming from just the scheme fit with Kyle Shanahan and the way he goes about running his offense?
Well, I think obviously it's a good fit, and Kyle Shanahan's an outstanding coach, but he's still the same coach that got fired in Cleveland, got fired in wherever, and in Washington or whatever. So, I mean, he's a great coach, but you got to have players. And certainly they have a ton of players. They have an outstanding system. But what's most important to me, is the grasp of the system that Brock Purdy has. There's a lot of smart coaches in this league, but the thing that I'm impressed with is Kyle Shanahan's got this young quarterback, and it's almost like he's connected to him on the field. Like he's that sharp, he's that smart, and hey, if he's accurate as hell. When somebody's open, he delivers it, and he delivers it on time. He's always the thing that gets me with him. He's not the greatest at extending plays like a Patrick Mahomes, but what he's amazing about is anticipation, timing, and accuracy. And he throws guys open. He doesn't wait for them to get open. He throws them open. And to me, I'm blown away by the kid.
Rex Ryan, ESPN, is with us. Rex, you just said something interesting. I want to dig a little deeper here because we are bombarded with the idea that players on the Niners are a product of Kyle Shanahan's system. And you just kind of insinuated that Kyle is also a product of his players. Is that what you believe?
Well, sure, of course. I think we all are. You think, hey, Bill Belichick's the best of all time. Well, did he look better with Tom Brady or without him when he couldn't beat anybody? I think he looked a hell of a lot better when Tom Brady was there. So that's part of us. Now, I'll say this. There's no coach in the National Football League, in the history of the National Football League, there's no coach can win without players. All right? There's some coaches can win with them, but there's no coach that can win without them. And to me, the Niners are an outstanding team, and it's a great mix. This is a good football coach, a damn good football coach. All right? There's no denying it, but those players make the coach look a hell of a lot better than if he didn't have those guys.
Let's say every single coach in the league was completely available and you were starting a team. Who would you hire?
I'd hire that kid at Detroit. The one that they can't get out. That's who I would hire.
Dan Campbell.
I love Dan Campbell, but I was talking about assistants. Because right now, you could take any of them and say, hey, Dan Campbell, Kyle Shanahan, all these guys. But I want to dig deep. I want to get my own guy, and I'm going to go get that offensive coordinator with Detroit. Nobody does a better job than that guy does. He doesn't have half the players that some of these teams have, and yet they rank in the top 5 every single year. that he's been an offensive coordinator. So to me, I think he could be a superstar in this league, and we'll find out. But all these other guys, Kyle Shanahan, all those guys are outstanding coaches. Mike Tomlin's a great coach, but I'm just telling you, I think there's some assistants that are going to break through in this league coming up that I'm really excited to see some of these other assistants move on as well, and not just come from the Sean McVay family or whatever. Right. There's more ways of skinning a cat. And the guy at Detroit, as you guys know, does, in my opinion, does a better job than anybody in the league.
Ben Johnson is who you're talking about.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah, no doubt. And the pipeline continues to be strong in the NFL. Rex, what's it like coming off a Super Bowl to try to do it again? Because we hear a lot about a Super Bowl hangover. The Niners obviously lost the big game, and they're trying to do it again. What are the challenges for a team to try to get back to the bowl after losing it?
Well, I think there's obviously the team is hungry, but it's so damn hard to get back there. And that's the thing where it's like every year's a brand new system, or a brand new season. And to me, if you're sitting back thinking, assuming you're going to get there, you'll get your ass kicked. And by then you're going to be scratching to make the playoffs instead of where you want to be, having that number one team, that number one seed. You got to handle business, and it's all over. It's a brand new season. And some of these teams that are hungry, that are behind you, you look at the jump that Detroit made last year. Who's going to be that team this year? There's talk. Is it going to be the Bears? Is it going to be Seattle? Is it going to be the Rams? I don't know. But you can't take anything for granted. And I think, and not saying that the Niners are going to, but that's the only way. If you're all of a sudden, the motor's not running, all that type of stuff, and you think you're just going to wait to the playoffs, you're not going to. You'll be lucky to make it.
Rex Ryan, ESPN, with us on 95.7 The Game. Rex, as you said, you're defensive guy. Would love to get your assessment of the 49er defense and specifically some of the changes. Dre Greenlaw is going to miss a little bit of time. Eric Armstead is gone. What are your thoughts on this group?
Yeah, I mean, it's an outstanding group. It's, they're so fundamentally sound as well. It's hard to get the ball over top of them. And, the pass rush, it all starts with that pass rush. And, you mentioned the loss of the big defensive tackle in there, Armstead, that's a big loss. But then you get some other guys that are coming up, and as long as you got Bosa healthy, you got a pretty good chance. You know what I mean? And all these kids inside, there's a lot of good players, a lot of depth in that group, and I think they picked up Floyd also, right?
They did.
So so to me, that's the kid. I love that kid. When he came out, I absolutely love that kid, and he's been tremendous. And I think that's the guy. It's funny, you're playing against Aaron Rodgers. Well, who's the guy that knocked him out, gave him the Achilles? Aaron Rodgers is going to look back over. I believe it was Floyd. So, but either way, to me, it's that's a damn good football player that nobody even talks about. So you lose a guy, but you also gain a guy too, and. So we'll see. I think the team is, both these defenses are going to be interesting because not just the Niners have an outstanding defense. The Jet defense is absolutely loaded. So I think it's going to be a great matchup. Both of those, ironically, play the same style of defense. They all play this. I call it we used to call it a sting package. Basically, it's a cover three on top. They're playing on top of the corners, playing almost man, but on top. It's not true man coverage. But either way, both these teams do a great job of playing that style, and it's going to be interesting because these offenses go against that defense every day. So what's the they shouldn't be surprised by this style of play. So. it should be interesting to me. I mean, I can't wait for this game. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, we're super excited out here, Rex, and glad to have you joining us, being of Jets cloth from your past. And I'm just curious what you think about Aaron Rodgers and what the expectation is for a guy almost 41, coming off an Achilles, playing his first football in almost 2 years.
Yeah, I think, look, he's completely healthy. So I think the Achilles, it happened or whatever. It's unfortunate, but he is absolutely 100% healthy. So the other thing is he's had a lot of durability, throughout his career. So he's not a guy that typically gets hurt. It's kind of a freak thing with that Achilles, but it certainly wasn't age related. So I think it's, I think they're going to get a healthy Aaron Rodgers, and he might not have the mobility that he once had, but he still has the arm talent, and he's got some guys to throw to, man. Like this Garrett Wilson is no joke. I think he's a superstar in the making. They add Mike Williams, who's a 50-50 jump ball, contested catch guy, outstanding receiver, and so I think that's going to be good. And then they have a back. Now, this is the closest thing to Christian McCaffrey that we have in the league in this Breece Hall. So it's going to be a hell of a matchup. That offensive line has been upgraded big time for the Jets. So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, certainly.
No doubt about it. Hey, Rex, before you get out of here, wanted to get a thought also on the game that is happening later tonight. It's kind of an interesting way to start a season, I'll say, in Brazil for a couple of teams that have to turn right around and play again next week. And you've got players who have made comments like they're being told to stay in their hotel rooms and whatnot. What are your thoughts on this game that's happening tonight?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's obviously a interesting venue down there in Brazil, and I actually went to a World Cup down there. Me and a bunch of my coaches went down, and they're for good reason. They need to stay in their hotel.
Okay. What are some of those reasons, Rex?
Pretty distracting. It was pretty distracting. Let's just say that around the beaches, it was very distracting. So they need to stay focused, stay in their hotel. I will say this: it's interesting, but it's the same time zone. And I know it sounds crazy because it's a 10-hour flight or whatever from the East Coast, but it's actually on the same time zone. I think that helps a little bit. I'm sure these teams will get an extra day, a couple extra days of preparation. So I don't think I mean, they could use it as an excuse. There's no need to. I think they'll be fine when they come back, from it. But it's going to be a hell of a game, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the NFL's got some great games that, already scheduled. But the interesting thing about Philadelphia early in the year, what were they, 10-1 or something like that?
Yep.
I have never seen a team, just go the exact opposite direction. It harkens back to the day of the Raiders when they went like 10-0 and then they lost 6 straight, or something many years ago. But it's almost like they couldn't stand their coaching staff. Like, I've never seen a team, literally lay down like they did.
It was shocking.
It's a talented-ass team, and they played like garbage. They couldn't have beat anybody at the end of the year. Nobody. They were beating nobody. And yet they were as talented as anybody. They bring in Vic Fangio to coach the defense. I think that's obviously going to help. They had a couple guys there that were couldn't stop a nosebleed. So I think, it's what happens when you hire some of these young guys that should stay somewhere else. But either way, it's, now they get a veteran coach in there. So certainly that's going to help Philadelphia. They get a real coach there. And, that's what I want to see. What Philadelphia team is going to show up? The one that was absolutely horrendous at the end of the year, or the team that we've seen and got accustomed to seeing that can play with anybody in the league?
Rex, I don't know if I'm going out on a limb here. Just listening to you feels like you're not the biggest Sirianni fan.
No, I wasn't that. No, I liked him. I liked the guy initially. I thought he had some swag to him and all that, but I just tell the truth. I tell what I see, and that's what makes me a little different than these other guys that the pundits that get on there. They either they don't know or they don't have the guts to say. But if I see it, I'll say it. And to me, I've been around the game all my life, and you can't fool me. I've seen it. And to me, that's what that team looked like. Looked like a team that could care less about their coaches, and that's how they played.
Rex Ryan, the truth teller. So I have one more for you. Our colleague, Lorenzo Neal, I did 4 years of radio with him. He's still a part of the family. What do you remember about Lo Neal during your time together in Baltimore? Now, nothing but the truth here, Rex. Give it to us straight.
No, I love the guy. I mean, he was an absolute beast, a great player. And, hey, did I let him skip curfew a couple of times? Absolutely. So, but he was, I don't know if that's what you refer to. I love the guy. I mean, to me, he's one of the all-time great fullbacks in the history of our game. And, I don't know if they'll ever put a fullback in the Hall of Fame, a traditional blocking fullback, but man, there was very few better than this guy, if any.
Perfect. Exactly what I was looking for.
Yep, you nailed it. Rex, thank you so much. It's a ton of fun to have you on.
All right, my pleasure, guys.
All right, there it is. Rex Ryan right here on Willard and Dibbs. And that, of course, the insinuation sensation that he had about Brazil is what led to your comment about the topless hoo-ha.
Yeah.
So there's that, but there's another part of the conversation that I think is maybe one that I'd really love to drill down a little further on. And that is sort of the idea, and we talk so much about these quarterbacks, who's good, who's great, who's championship caliber, who's overrated, whatever. And maybe what we should be talking about a little bit more is who's got a good marriage. You ever look around at all your friends and you're like, I like that relationship. They look healthy. They're like nice to each other. They don't look like they want to rip each other's heads off. Like, that's where I do think the 49ers could lay claim, at least pretty soon, to one of the top quarterback head coach marriages in the NFL. Obviously, Reed and Mahomes look very lockstep. They're both very powerful at their position. Yeah. Everyone would put that number one. But, look, Sirianni and Hurts is at the center of this conversation. It does not feel like it's going well. I'll also add that Packer-Eagle game has gotten started and it looked like a bunch of people were not ready for the NFL season to start. Flags are flying everywhere on every play, totally out of sync. I'm very much hoping that the 49ers don't come out and look that way on Monday night.
I would expect some of that, and you're going to see a lot of it early, especially when the officials are really clamping down on illegal formation with the tackle lined up too far off the line of scrimmage and other procedural things where the refs are going to try to, call it tight early, and then when you get to the playoffs, it's like, whatever, that wasn't holding. We're not gonna throw the flag on that. Flags go down. They start heavy and they go down slowly throughout the year. So I would expect some of that from a team that has, Ayuk and Trent coming back after having no camp. But as far as what you talked about with marriages, you look at a few situations around the NFL that are absolutely in lockstep, but a lot of them, it's young quarterback, new coach, or new coach with a veteran. And the Niners have a quarterback who is becoming the franchise guy, if he hasn't already, and a coach who's now going on his 8th year.
Who are some of the other marriages that you admire? Like I was just sitting here thinking about this, and get Patrick and Andy out of the way.
Yeah.
Kyle and Brock, that's off to a phenomenal start. Some of the other ones that pop to mind right away, quite frankly, C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans feel like they're off to a phenomenal start. But even some of the other guys who are like high-level QBs, I don't know that I can speak much to their marriage. Josh Allen and McDermott. Does that feel like it's clicking? I don't even necessarily know how to answer like that. That feels more just like Josh. Like Josh just goes out there and does his thing. And
isn't McDermott a defensive guy primarily?
Yes.
So maybe that's
traditionally.
Yeah. And I think about Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow as one that feels pretty good.
That feels good to you?
Yeah. And Mike McDaniel and Tua down in Miami.
That's another one I thought of.
And Tua even talked about it, how McDaniel came in and basically rehabbed his emotional state.
Yep.
After, was it Brian Flores?
Brian Flores, who at least Tua says just totally broke him down and made him feel like he was awful at football.
So then you get McDaniel come in, who's super rah-rah and funny and, light and definitely a player's coach. And so that marriage feels like it's one that I would put toward the top of the list. And quietly, Stafford and McVay in L.A. McVay, he's done well with Stafford, and, Stafford's a vet, and it feels like McVay really empowers him to be the on-field leader. And, that might be the only time where McVay steps aside.
Jalen Hurts' first throw of the year has been intercepted by the Green Bay Packers.
Hashtag fade the dibber.
Hashtag fade. Well, I'm not going to celebrate in the first quarter. There's 4 minutes into the football game.
Grandy with a fist pump. Did you bet it against me? Did you lay it and play it? Okay.
To be fair, I like the Packers in this game.
Yeah,
but
they're going to win the game.
That cemented it, though.
Yeah, the Eagles.
You're exactly right.
The Eagles, by the way, a bad interception. The only thing that was good about it was they're buried way deep in their own zone on third down, and so it's kind of like throw it up like a punt, but it didn't work like a punt. And
there are like 4 Packers around it.
Yeah, and it got returned halfway, and the Packers are like in the high red. It's a bad interception.
Yeah, well, I think it's Sirianni's fault, really. You're going to be picking sides in Philadelphia, Sirianni versus Hurts. And that's not where you want to be as a team here in week 1, where one of the big storylines, around the Niners, the storylines were Ayuk holding in, Trent holding out, and boy, Super Bowl hangover. Those were the big talking points going in.
Yep.
That's better than
for
coach hates quarterback hates coach.
No, Sirianni is already pacing the sideline, and that furrowed brow thing that he does where he looks all like, just mad. It's like constant right now already.
Do you see Big Dom down there?
I do not see Big Dom.
I'll tell you why you don't see me. I had visa issues.
I heard Big Dom's name come up last night because there was a play on the sideline where Lamar came running off the sideline and some whatever ball boy got like chest to chest with him and kind of bumped him and shoved him, and people are like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing? Like, do not touch the players, especially if you're not a player. Like, just don't. Hard no.
If you have a polo shirt on, then you shouldn't be engaging with professional football players. You're in a polo for a reason. That means you're either a coach, a ball boy, a trainer, or an amalgamation of the three. And you know what that would be, right?
It would be an amalgamation sensation.
Cha-ching!
I know exactly what that was, yeah.
Granny's too busy in there.
Anyway, but going back to the whole quarterback-coach marriage thing, it's funny to me because it feels sort of conceptual more than factual. I can't tell you why the Josh Allen McDermott thing sometimes feels disjointed. It just does. Same thing with McCarthy and Dak. Obviously, Sirianni and Hurts, that's, to me, the poster for what we're talking about. Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, it feels pretty good. I'll give you another one that throughout the second half of the season felt great, which was LaFleur and Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Like that whatever, for whatever reason, felt like it really, really clicked. And now, I hear a lot of NFL people who think that Jordan Love might be the next big thing.
I mean, that would be exciting for Green Bay with what they're doing, around him with, paying guys on rookie deals.
They never don't have good quarterback play there.
It's been pretty consistent, and I'd have to remember who they had pre-Favre, if it was Don Majkowski or the Magic Man, or if they had other guys. No,
I'm not counting, but what would happen when we were little kids. But I mean,
no. I mean, you go Favre, Rodgers, Love. That's about 30 years of good, solid, elite quarterback play. All of a sudden,
I mean, assuming that Jordan Love is exactly who we think he's cracked up to be, he is now being paid to do so at $55 million a year, and has played fewer games than Brock Purdy, and is yet another example of the great draftism scenario that we always talk about, which is nobody has any trouble believing that what Jordan Love is doing is absolutely real and it's not a product of the surroundings or whatever, even though he's got a Shanahan disciple out there in the exact same offense running around. And I know he doesn't have great receivers, so to speak, or at least they're young, but, it's the same offense and another really good young coach. But everybody believes that one because he was drafted in the first round.
Exactly. And it's much easier to do. And I think that's partly the thing about Buffalo that makes it interesting to me that we don't see it the same way from a marriage standpoint. Maybe it's because McDermott's a defensive guy and we think more about the coordinator, but the Bills have been to the playoffs 5 straight years. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
It's a good team.
5-5 in the playoffs, too. They've won a playoff game in every one of those years except for 2019, yet they always seem to fall short. And you look at McDermott, and it feels, I don't know, to me like he's not a good enough coach to get you over the hump.
Well, and then there's the next one that we're all looking at this year that didn't even come up in our conversation yet. And it's the one I am fascinated to see. If there's one team this year where I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do. I trust your coach, but let's see how this looks. It's Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. This is going to be so fascinating to me. Does the former quarterback / great coach who does wear everyone out after 5 years, does he go in with magic dust on Justin Herbert, or does he try to come back and bring cloud of dust offense to the NFL in the form of running backs and a great offensive line? He drafted an offensive lineman there in the top 10. I have no idea what their offensive approach is going to be.
I would lean toward the latter. I think that he's going to try to bring back 3 yards and a cloud of dust. And you got Dobbins and Edwards in the backfield. And like you said, you drafted some offensive linemen and you have a very young receiving core. I don't think that he's going to let Justin just go back there and sling it as much as Brandon Staley did and previous coaches have. I do think it's going to be a much more tight to the vest, Harbaugh-style offense. And I wonder how that will affect Justin Herbert if they're doing that and they're not winning. Well,
it's funny because Jim was a quarterback and he's a very, very good coach. But if you also look at when he's coached, like, okay, who were the quarterbacks that he developed? And so, with the Niners, that was the Alex Smith-Kaepernick thing. He goes to Michigan. Yeah, there's J.J. McCarthy, just got drafted in the very early first round, and so that's wonderful. He's going to miss the year. But I never watched even Michigan last year and felt, oh, this is one of those teams that's really humming because of great quarterback play.
Yeah.
He's more like, one of these guys that's very, very serviceable, and he can make throws on time, and he's accurate and everything. But, guys like Blake Corum, who's now with the Rams, I think were probably a bigger piece of what they were trying to do offensively. Yeah. And so, he may be Shanahan AFC in that it's like, he's a big fan of running the football, even in 2024.
Yeah, and if you do that with a good defense, you can get away with it. You kind of shorten these games down. You don't have to worry about getting into shootouts. As long as you don't put the ball on the ground within the run game, you have a good chance to stay in some of these football games.
Packers got a field goal out of that turnover.
Okay.
Out of that Jalen Hurts, 0 for 1 with an interception. Actually, he's now 0 for 2. My bad. Second throw of the year that was intercepted. 0 for 2 with an interception. And the entire city of Philadelphia is already on edge.
As am I. I'm down 3-2 against the spread.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I got the Eagles plus the 2, so.
You've got the Eagles minus the 2.
Oh, so I'm down 5-0.
You're down 5-0. Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. Look at him trying to
wrap it up.
Trying to change the spread a half hour after it happened.
If I knew it was -2, I would have taken the pack.
Okay.
Can I get a mulligan?
No.
I already wrote it down on my Excel spreadsheet. It's locked in.
Yeah, lock it in.
Did anyone ever tell you that you are such a nerd?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ken, for the audible laugh.
Yeah, we've all been told that.
No doubt.
We're in radio. Good Lord. We're sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And it's Willard and Dibs.
O'Reilly Auto Parts Loaner Tool Program offers more than
Oh, I hate it. And I'm very upset about that, okay?
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
All right. Let's overreact. What the hell? What the hell?
Sure.
We've had 4.5 quarters of NFL football so far. Let's overreact. Want my in-the-moment reaction as the Packers do convert a first down and have first and goal at the Eagle 3-yard line. Second time they've been set up with a short field because of a Jalen Hurts turnover in the last 5 minutes. 2 drives, 2 turnovers for Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
One of them maybe not his fault. Center snapped the ball off his chest when he wasn't even looking. I bet Jason Kelce wouldn't have done that. But anyway, Packers are knocking on the door and already up 3-0. But here's my overreaction. These are the 2 teams we're supposed to be worried about.
And the Lions. But yeah, these are 2 of the teams for sure.
The Packers have had a penalty on almost every play, and the Eagles have had a turnover on almost every play.
Yeah.
Now,
early season football.
I know you're in Brazil, but my God, go back to practice, gentlemen. You're not ready.
Well, I don't think it has much to do with Brazil. I think it has to do with where we are now as an NFL society where you don't play preseason anymore. Most of these teams don't play anybody more than a couple of series here or there. So this really is like college football week 0, where you go out and you play. You haven't played anything. You haven't played anybody. And best of luck. So I think the early part of any season, you're not going to be sharp. It's about survive and advance. And right now, what we've seen, you're right, through 4.5 quarters, last night and then tonight, it's pretty putrid.
It's hysterical. There's a flag on every play. People are dropping balls and trying to beg the ref to call it a catch anyway. It's this whole thing. And again, yes, it's a dumb overreaction. I don't actually mean this. I'm not going to judge these teams based on 1/2 of 1 quarter, but this has been Keystone Cops as far as the way the Eagles and the Packers look so far. And so it is kind of funny. Now, your point is well taken with regard to the no preseason play. But by the way, we're heading in a direction where this is going to be even more so. Whatever little amount they play in the preseason now, we're a few years away from probably next to no preseason. Like literally, not even the opportunity to play.
Yeah, it'll probably be 2. I think they'll always have 2 preseason and 18 regular. I think that they're going to teams will always want to have 1 extra home game where they can dupe their fans and they can pressure their season ticket holders into paying for it. And they get a chance to play players 54 through 90. And they get to have a real look at their 3rd and 4th stringers. So I don't think that preseason will ever fully go away. It's too much of a free cash grab. It's a freebie.
Gosh, I feel like in 10 years or less, we're going to be playing 20, not 18.
I think 18 for me feels like it's about the limit.
That's funny because obviously a few years ago when they talked about a 17, oh, no way, 16 is more than enough. And now we're like, well, yeah, but no, we could do 18. And so that's my point.
Yeah,
that's where once we get to 18, it'll be why not 20? That's the way it always works.
It does, but the scarcity of the product is one of the big draws for the NFL.
That's a good point.
I'm not saying that 18 to 20 all of a sudden makes it like, oh, these games are a dime a dozen. But the urgency of a 17-game schedule, the old adage of in a 16 game, if you start out 0-2, only 12% of teams make the playoffs who start out 0-2. So when you're 0-1, it feels must-winny in that spot. You get to 20, there's a little bit of that, okay, we started out 2-4. Big deal.
Yeah.
We got 14 more to go.
I mean, no, you're definitely not wrong with regard to that. I always just wonder, what is the line? Because every time this is brought up, people will talk about, well, the physicality of it, they can't last 20 games. I'm like, can they last 18? Can they last 16? Sometimes they can't last 4.
Yeah.
Like, this is not doable over any long period of time. You'll hear every player tell you, what's the injury rate by January? 100%.
Exactly.
Some of the injuries we just don't know about, or you don't hear about, or don't think are that big of a deal. But like, bottom line is this is not sustainable over any period of time. So in a way, as wacky as it sounds, the NFL's not wrong for being like, why not a couple more?
Exactly.
What's the difference?
Well, I did a bunch of years in the Arena League doing pre and post and doing play-by-play. They had an 18-game schedule over 20 weeks. Everybody got 2 buys. And what I learned through that process is players who get injured have a greater ability to return later in the year because the season's longer.
Yep.
So you get hurt in week 5. By the time you get to week 19, that's a long time. You might be able to come back and play. So, yeah, the injury rate's 100%, but the return rate actually goes up a little bit.
Might even help you, too, in an odd way. Like, I do think if you go back to the Warriors title from a couple of years ago, remember Steph Curry sat out the last 2 to 3 weeks of the regular season with an injury, and we were really scared that he wasn't going to play in the playoffs. And then, poof, the playoffs started, and he played. And, oh, by the way, if I remember correctly, he played really well, so well that he had one of his all-time performances in the most important moment of the entire playoffs, Game 4 in Boston. Does that happen if he doesn't get a little rest right before the playoffs start?
Hard to say, but it feels like no, because he got that rest and he came back fresh and ready to go. I think it was 3 weeks he sat out, and we were...
Feels like it, yeah.
And then Steiny and Guru had him on, and he kind of allayed our fears indirectly.
Well, yeah, because we knew the second when they had him on him, we're like, he's playing.
Right, because he doesn't come on if he's not going to play.
No, yeah, like they don't want to talk about their injury or whatever. Packers got another field goal. The Eagles are. You know who the Eagles are right now?
Neo from the Matrix.
Maybe they are like the Niners when the Niners went to Philly. Remember how they were getting run up and down the field, but they were only down 6-0, and then poof, broke through for a touchdown. Next thing you know, floodgates open.
Yep.
They go 6 straight drives with a touchdown and blow the Eagles off of the field. I'm not saying that's about to happen here, but my God, the Eagles are lucky to only be down 6-0 right now.
Yeah, considering how bad they've been on offense with fumbles and interceptions on virtually every play. What do they run, 3 plays?
They've run 6 plays and they have 2 turnovers.
That's almost impossible to do.
And they have run the ball 3 times for -2 yards. Jalen Hurts is 1 for 3 for a yard and has 1 pick and 1 fumble. There's your rebirthed, now all liking each other Philadelphia Eagles.
But Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. 2 carries, -2 yards.
Oh, man, there you go.
For your fancy new running back. Josh Jacobs, 6 carries, 4 yards.
That's not good. That's my running back. I'm going to need him to do a little bit better than that.
Nobody's doing anything in this game. Jordan Love looks fine. There's just a flag on every single one of their plays. There's a flag on every single one of their plays. So anyway, look.
What's your Sunday plan? What's your strategy? You got 8 in the morning. You got the Octobox on the old.
For sure, yeah. Well, we don't have a Niner game that's going to get anybody hot and bothered about Red Zone. So my boys already started talking to me about what kind of breakfast, special breakfast, that we can bring in. And, dude, we won't move. My plan, we're not moving.
Well, I mean, you'll go Red Zone.
We'll go Red Zone.
10 o'clock. The only thing is the 1 o'clock games, it's...
Red Zone again.
Yeah, not a good... Usually, if there's a good 1 o'clock game, I'll tune into it. You have the L.A. battle, Vegas against the Chargers, Denver at Seattle.
Sure.
Dallas at Cleveland, and Washington at Tampa. Pretty weak afternoon slate.
I mean, week 1, nothing's weak. I'll watch anyone.
Of course, but I mean... If
Great.
there's a really good 1 o'clock game and the Niners aren't playing in that window, I will get off the Red Zone and watch a game because there's usually only 4 games in the afternoon anyway.
No, we don't turn off the Red Zone ever. And then you got the golf bowl at 5:20.
No, that's a big one.
Yeah, which I'll watch during the show with Ephraim, and we'll talk about all of it. Thank you. Jude asked me to play this on the way to school this morning.
No way.
And I did.
Dun, 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 dun. It's pretty sweet.
Grandy, how many weeks till we can get Scott Hansen on?
Oh, man. I would absolutely love to talk to Scott Hansen. That would be incredible.
He came on with us a couple years ago. You weren't working on this show, but he came on with us. Came on with us 2 seasons ago.
I read something the other day that this is his this is the final year of his current contract with NFL Network.
Seriously?
Yeah. They got to renew him.
Dude, he needs to hold out. He should do that. He should just, 9:58 on Sunday, he'll be like, not going on.
You know he holds in every Sunday.
I know exactly where you're going.
He holds it in. He does not urinate. 7 hours of me crossing my legs begins right now. The man does not urinate.
That is not a urination sensation.
No.
Yeah, it's a different kind of sensation.
Yeah.
No, he gets that, as he told us. He gets that question probably more than any question he gets, which is funny. The guy is like this great broadcaster. It's this great channel. Everybody loves this thing. We sit around and watch it. If you get a chance to ask him one question, what does everyone ask him? Hey, dude, when do you pee?
Have you ever had a UTI? And the answer is obviously yes.
Of course.
I mean, come on.
Every year by week 8, for sure.
That's a good question.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I got one today.
It was a good question.
Whatever.
It wasn't a great question.
Good counts better than what you offered today.
My ass!
Thank you.
You know what I offered? Not a bad pick. That's what I offered.
I'm only 0-1. I like my chances.
Okay.
I'm down 8-0 right now.
You're on your way to 0-2. Hey, Grandy, what are you about to do here? What's happening?
Frank Gore about to be inducted into the Niners Hall of Fame on Monday. He was on with Bonte and Shasky this morning, so we're going to hear that.
Perfect. So Frank Gore is coming up right around the corner. It's brought to you by Fremont Bank, celebrating 60 years of full-service banking with no compromises. Here comes Grandy. Dibs, you want to do it again tomorrow?
Got to work.
Okay, how about the day after that?
Football Sunday.
Monday?
Only in Santa Clara.
I see you at the Hilton,
yes,
brother.
Sir.
Cannot wait. For Dibs, for Grandy, for Ken, I'm Mark. Shoot your shot. That's all you got.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
Xfinity here.